Salut YouTube, Umineko chapitre 6, on continue. On arrive petit à petit on est vers le milieu du chapitre. J'essaierai de le finir demain. Voilà, voilà. On s'était arrêté hier sur des trucs très intéressants, notamment des tueries perpétrées par les enfants, par Jessica, par George, sans doute par Canon, Shannon et Béatrice, par la suite, puisque c'était vers là que ça se dirigeait. Maintenant, à voir si tout ça va constituer des sacrifices du premier crépuscule. Je comprends pas très bien le jeu de Battler pour l'instant, mais nul doute que ça va venir. Allez, c'est parti. Ah putain, on est sur Rosa. Bah Rosa, elle va tellement se faire insta-kill. Ça va être terrible. Rosa could be seen in the parlor. The relatives apparently all wanted to be alone after dispersing for a short break. Since everyone avoided the parlor, the one place where people would normally gather, Rosa was able to have this relaxing and comforting room all to herself. That didn't mean she looked relaxed. Her expression was heavy with gloom and weariness. The cup of black tea that she had brought from the dining hall and gone cold. A pleasant silence. No one was in sight. Rosa's heart finally woke. She was always treated like a kid in the conferences with her three siblings. She had no influence at all. But possibly because of that, she was apparently considered to be a neutral party. The siblings would often ask for her agreement, sometimes even treating her like a referee or a judge. I have to make use of that, and turn the discussion in the direction I want. I have to find almost 100 million yen by March. That was supposed to be my great commitment, a burden I bore to help support that man's business. No, I'm not sure anymore. If I can pay off my debt, will he call me again? Putain, mais on va pas avoir de la peine pour Rosa. Arrêtez de forcer. S'il vous plaît. Don't make me laugh. Even if you do contact me after all this time, I'll be the one to refuse. But still, you're Maria's father. Please come and see her, if only just once. Love is quite a difficult thing to stick to, isn't it? Huh? Who? Well, no one should have been in the parlor. Someone suddenly spoke to Rosa and she jumped. Oh pétard, bah Rosa. Oh, 7. Just when did it get there? Ken could be seen standing there, even considering that she had been deep in thought, to think that she hadn't noticed him at all. You startled me. Sorry, I get away thinking too hard that I didn't notice you. Do you need something? No. The reason you are currently in pain is because of love, Rosa-sama. Am I wrong? That's sudden. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maria-sama's father wanted you to be the co-signer of on a loan, and you accepted, Rosa-sama. What a troublesome kid. You were listening to Crow's Nissan from the hallway, weren't you? True, earlier today in this very room, Crow had seen through the fact that Rosa was bearing a massive debt because she'd become a co-signer on a loan. However, he hadn't said that her partner had been Maria's father. Why did Canon know so much? You are a very wise person, Rosa-sama. You wouldn't have become a co-signer without thinking carefully about the consequences. I hadn't yet moved to his family register, but I thought of the man I would soon marry as my partner. If he couldn't borrow the money without my name, I figured that helping him out was my responsibility as his future wife. And did that future ever come? Oh Valou, ça va quoi? Camarades. GG pour le first. GG's bien sûr. Oh putain, mais non, je peux pas passer une musique, je suis en plein Umineko, s'il vous plaît. Laissez-moi. Laissez-moi tranquille. Comment ça c'est pour la vibe? Eh vas-y, tu sais quoi, je te fais confiance, Clem. Putain, ils sont venus à 12 là. Faut que je mette une musique, c'est... Ouvrir le lien.
Les cybermenaces.
Ah, pourquoi j'ai une pub? Ah, mais attends. Ah oui, d'accord. Je crois que ça m'a mis un autre navigateur que le mien. Les cybermenaces. Un fléau pour la société moderne. Par contre, la merguez party, c'est exceptionnel. Hein. Mais c'est pas du tout la vibe d'Umineko, quoi. Pas du tout la vibe, mais vas-y. Je prends. Je connais que leur frein. Hein. Le Valou. Vous écoutez ça en boucle ou quoi? Je vais pas dire en même temps. Hein. C'est la merguez. Merguez party. Tant qu'il y a de la braise, c'est pas fini. Ouh. L'eau. C'était pas dans une vidéo du JDG ça? Genre sur les émissions, les vieilles émissions et tout là. Et la merguez, merguez party, tant qu'il y a de la braise, c'est pas fini. Ah oui, ok, oui c'est vrai. Ça date... Ah, je me repasse une intégrale JDG dans pas longtemps. Binge Watch All JDG. Ça fait longtemps que je n'ai pas regardé. Oh. Ok, débat. C'est quoi la meilleure vidéo du JDG? Et pourquoi Excalibur 2055? Ah, jeu FMV, oui. Ok, je prends. Très top tier, ouais. Fort Boyard, je la trouve un peu surcotée, mais elle est quand même excellente. Putain, mais il y a quoi pendant 1 minute à la fin, là? Le club Dorothée, la terre est toute blanche. Bon, allez, hop, putain, ça dégage. Merci pour le repartage. On repart dans une ambiance sombre. Putain, vous avez fait la même ref en même temps, quoi. Ça va croire que vous êtes dans le même voc. Ce serait dingue, ça. Bisous les brothers. Amusez-vous bien aussi. On ne se connaît pas. Je crois que c'est la première fois. Vous savez que du coup, juste sur Umineko, il va y avoir officiellement dans toutes les rediffs. J'ai toutes les rediffs sur YouTube de tout le jeu. Il va y avoir la merguez party quelque part. Ça rajoute du lore à mon let's play Umineko. Genre, là dans le lore de mon let's play, enfin de mon let's read, il y a la merguez party quelque part. Et ça c'est beau. Bref, amusez-vous bien aussi. Merci pour la merguez party. C'est la première fois que quelqu'un prend une musique pendant Umineko, quoi. Ce n'est jamais arrivé. C'est beau. Bon allez. What ma cam? Qu'est-ce qu'elle m'a fait là? Wesh. Elle est en mort cérébrale. Bah. Pourquoi elle est rouge comme ça hein? Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Putain, ce début de... Ce début de session, il est très particulier. Hein. Ma cam ne marche plus. What the fuck? Mais... Regardez, ma cam a des très gros soucis. Qu'est-ce qui se passe, frère? Je comprends rien. J'y suis perdu. Bah attendez, je règle la cam. Bon, c'est à peu près ok, mais je sais pas ce qu'elle m'a fait la cam. On va la jouer comme ça. Mais elle m'a fait un... Elle m'a fait un gloubi-boulga là. Bon, pas grave. C'est bon, je suis de retour. Pardon me. Désolé YouTube, faut skip un peu du coup. Bon, on arrive à là. And did that future ever come? No, it hadn't. So afterwards, Rosa was always alone. And Maria never had a father. However, time moved on. Nothing changed except that Maria, who should have been a symbol of their union, just kept growing like a living hourglass measuring the length of the hell Rosa had crawled through. Because of that, Maria's growth hurt. It's ironic. I tried to forget that man several times. But you know, forgetting him doesn't get rid of that depth. It was only natural. That's why she had to forget to love and do all she could to pay that money back. But you know, I also think of it this way. If I can manage to pay everything off, it means that I've passed the trial of love that he gave me. I have to pay off my debt anyway, so how can I abandon my reward, the love I gain as a result, before it's over? Is it really so wrong to put off thinking about that until I've paid my debt? It may have been a trick of words that only those who have suffered through love could understand. Even Rosa was vaguely aware of the possibility that she'd been deceived. However, if she was able to succeed in paying back the loan, he might acknowledge her usefulness as a wife. When that happened, she might be able to regain that love. Yo Alex, tout va très bien. J'espère que toi ça va mon pote. Prends soin de toi. J'ai vu que t'avais fait un projet de jeu là et tout. J'irai le tester un de ces quatre si ça te dit. Et puis voilà quoi. And if she abandoned that love... Bien sûr, VGC, il m'avait fait l'hymne du championship, bien sûr. Portez-vous bien sur le projet, en tout cas. And if she abandoned that love, this trial that she has given her will become completely meaningless. C'est vraiment juste la game of love, le chapitre 6. Love is hard. Yes, for her, the depth itself appeared to be a trial of love. Actually, the very fact that she tried to view it that way might have been the blindness of love. Proof that she was still bound by her regrets and obsessed with the past. That pain still continued within her. At the very least, it will remain until she paid back that massive loan, and even then it will take quite some time before she'd been able to lay her feelings for him to rest. Could this be that hell Carrie-sama spoke of? I see. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but there's no doubt that my world has been hell through and through. Booste-toi, c'est important, Alex. Et quand ça va pas, pense à tous les beaux projets que t'as fait. Et ça ne peut qu'aller mieux. Tu vis à travers plein de super trucs. Pardon. OMG, j'ai pas vu le raid. Yoita, merci pour le raid. J'étais en train de répondre à un débat débile dans mon général. Yo le Yonibo, Yoita, merci pour le raid. Pardon. Ça va ou quoi? J'ai vu que tu faisais un truc en mode Nuzlocke Smash, Itaku, je suis pas trop passé voir. Mais j'espère que ça te plaît en tout cas, je sais pas si t'as fini. Je sais pas vraiment comment tu fais. Mais si ça te plaît, c'est le principal. Tu m'arrêtes sur Umi, donc malheureusement, je pense pas que ça intéresse grand monde à part le faux, mais... Et peut-être Nibo, mais... Voilà. Nibo, j'ai enfin vu Furpur, d'ailleurs. Tu te fais détruire. Tu te fais détruire. Bon. Après, le principal, c'est que ça te plaise. Si tu t'amuses et que tu te sens bien sur le truc... c'est ce qu'il faut. J'ai eu des petits soucis en début de session, ma cam marchait plus, donc là il faut que je me remette à lire pour pas perdre le rythme. Ah, je veux bien voir les règles, ouais. Pourquoi pas, ça m'intéresse. Après, si c'est une Nuzlocke, je vois à peu près quoi, dans tous les cas. Mais ça peut être intéressant, ouais. Merci Nibo. L'objectif n'est pas mourir. Ah bon? Bah alors là, c'est... C'est très surprenant pour une Nuzlocke. Genre, toi au tournoi cet après-midi. Ok, le faux, ça marche. Retournez prendre vos pauses de salope sur Rise là. Hein, dans le terrain dans le terrain de foot couvert là. Ah, on va se poser derrière des petits trucs et puis on va attendre qu'ils passent. Comme ça, on est des petites salopes. Voilà. Refaites vos putes. Dès que c'était ouvert, on vous détruisait. Voilà, c'est tout ce que j'ai à dire. Mec qui n'arrive pas à overcome. Personnage Brawl, il ne peut recréer que le premier personnage rencontré par zone point sur la carte. Ah, en mode Odyssey Smash. C'est bien ça. Si le personnage meurt, il ne peut plus utiliser. Zelda est chic, même personnage. Dans un de Pokémon égale une vie par Pokémon. Samus sans armure et Samus égale personnage différent. C'est une section qui nécessite le choix entre des personnages morts. Le Nuzlocke est perdu. Les stickers sont également interdits. Oh, waouh, c'est pas mal en vrai. C'est toi qui as inventé la Nuzlocke Smash ou tu l'as vu quelque part? Parce que les règles sont très sympas. Hein. Une version où tu peux utiliser tous les persos attaqués, ils ont juste une vie, mais t'as pas l'esprit de Nuzlocke. Ok. Tu l'as fait à ta sauce, quoi. T'as vu un truc qui existait et tu l'as fait à ta sauce, quoi. Ok. C'est cool, en vrai. C'est bien. Bah, ça fait plaisir. Bah, t'es quoi, je passerai sûrement voir une prochaine fois, du coup, ça a l'air intéressant. Par contre, c'est hyper punitif, si ça nécessite d'avoir des persos entre les trucs et que tu les as pas, c'est hyper punitif, en vrai. Ou alors tu dois les garder en... Tu dois les garder en fond de tiroir pour être sûr de les avoir à un certain moment de l'Odyssée, peut-être, mais c'est dur. Bref, je reprends ma lecture. Merci encore pour le Reddita. Encore une fois, j'espère que tu t'amuses bien sur ce que tu fais. Bam. Il y a une section où il est tout seul et si tu le perds, c'est juste instant reset. Ah. Bon. Kirby dans les modes Histoire Smash, je ne sais pas pourquoi il est autant mis en avant à chaque fois. Mais c'est une dinguerie. Voilà. Alors que le mode histoire entre guillemets d'Ultimate, faut en parler à quel point il est nul par contre. Hein. Ah bah oui, c'est Sakurai, il met son produit en avant du coup. Ok, j'avais plus la data. Effectivement. Tout pile. Allez. J'ai perdu beaucoup de temps de lecture. Je reprends. Tranquille. Merci encore pour le Reddit. Merci Ta. Merci camarade. Ma cam, je l'ai mise sur un bout de truc parce qu'elle elle m'a lâché. Elle pointe plus là où je veux. Du coup, bah, à tout moment, elle tombe, mais pire, c'est pas grave. On vivra l'histoire. Ah non, bon, là, on voit clairement que Rosa va crever dans moins d'un quart d'heure de lecture. Ce qui est pas pour me déplaire. Mais déjà un petit au 7 Rosa pour commencer. Et puis voilà. Hein. And how can it be put to an end? Je commence à avoir une théorie qui se forme dans ma tête. Mais en fait, elle a un point noir que je peux pas expliquer. Donc j'en parlerai un jour ou l'autre. Alors pour moi, il est possible... Ah bah attends. True Detective Glasses. Pour moi, alors c'est vraiment à la volo, hein, mais pour moi, il est possible que Shannon et Jessica soient les vrais coupables, entre guillemets, hors du board, à cause de justement leur union impossible, leur condition un peu d'esclave, l'oiseau qui veut se libérer de la boîte. George pareil. Amour impossible. Les quatre, quoi. J'ai oublié George, mais... J'ai oublié le pédophile dans l'histoire. Mais quatre. Et Béatrice, pour moi, c'est la représentation de l'amour. Et c'est pas quelqu'un qui est physiquement là. Donc elle donne le courage et la force aux autres de le faire. Tout simplement. Pour moi, c'est possible que via leurs conditions un peu d'esclaves, et de l'autre, les membres de la famille Oshiromiya, leurs conditions de... on peut pas marier des meubles. Pour moi, il est possible que ce soit des vrais coupables, entre guillemets, genre. Attention, point noir, c'est que je vois pas... Dans un monde normal, je ne vois pas du tout George tuer sa mère. Je ne vois pas Jessica... Ah, tuer Kairi, pourquoi pas, en vrai. Et pour moi, là, vu que c'est la game de Battler... Ok. Je continue un peu plus loin ma théorie. C'est la game de Battler. Il y a toute l'histoire autour du Without Love, it cannot be seen et tout. Il fait la game de l'amour pour nous montrer ce qui s'est réellement passé. Peut-être. Parce que lui, il a l'amour maintenant. Donc il voit. Il est très clair. Et donc là, peut-être qu'il nous montre le vrai déroulé. C'est la game de Battler. S'il choisit que ça se passe comme ça, surtout que il n'hésite pas à sacrifier sa mère sur l'échiquier quand même. Enfin, sa mère. On va dire sa stepmom pour l'instant. Même si pour moi c'est assez clair. Il n'hésite pas à sacrifier sa belle-mère sur l'échiquier. Je pense que ça a un but précis. Pour nous montrer ce que les gens sont prêts à faire pour l'amour. Et à quel point on peut fomenter des choses assez terribles pour ça. Peut-être qu'il nous montre la réalité, là, actuellement, de ce qui s'est réellement passé. Et je pense que là-dedans, Béatrice, ce serait pas une personne physique, mais une espèce de représentation de l'amour. Voilà. Le problème, dans ma théorie, c'est qu'il y a toujours le Who I Am de Béatrice, qui ne sait pas qui elle est. Alors est-ce que ce serait pas quelqu'un qui est sur l'île? Mais qui? Si Béatrice était quelqu'un sur l'île, ça se jouerait entre Jessica et Shannon. Je pense. Voilà. Mais c'est un peu alambiqué, quoi. C'est un peu tiré par les cheveux. Voilà. Je peux pas aller vraiment plus loin là-dedans, mais... En fait, je ne sais pas si... En fait, la question du Who I Am sera forcément répondue à un moment, donc je me dis qu'en même temps, ça doit être quelqu'un de physiquement existant à un moment ou à un autre sur l'île en 86, mais en même temps, j'aime bien l'imaginer en espèce de représentation de l'amour et que ce soit pas vraiment quelqu'un. Donc je sais pas. Voilà, voilà. J'espère que la théorie était plaisante. On y retourne. Who knows, if anyone did, no one will ever be crushed by the disease of love. That disease is a serious one. It sometimes eats into a person for their entire life, spreading to and hurting the people closest to them. That disease was torturing her now as much as it has ever had. Well, since you bring up, Kairi-san, a story is like a wish or a dream to me. Thus she had her man stolen from her, she persevered for 18 years. She never fell to despair and instead continued to support Rudolph, keeping her head down and waiting for a miracle. Et non, effectivement, le faux, je lâcherai pas la théorie de Battler, hein, Kairi, tout ça, parce que pour moi, c'est assez... je vois pas... En fait, dans un monde logique, c'est ça. Après, il y a un monde où je me fais banane depuis le début aussi. Mais moi, je stick sur cette version-là. Voilà. Parce que Kairi, vas-y, je redis une... Vas-y, tu sais quoi, je remets les lunettes 2 secondes, vraiment 2 secondes. Hein. Kairi, là, quand elle parlait à Jessica, ça semblait assez évident que elle avait fait une fausse couche. Elle l'a dit. Genre, pour elle, c'est évident qu'il y a 18 ans, elle a fait une fausse couche. Mais admettons que elle est vraiment accouchée d'un bébé. Et après, il y a le syndrome... le syndrome Weather Report dans Jojo peut totalement être vu là-dedans. Ou alors on a pu lui cacher, sinon, que Jojo Pilled. Juste Jojo Pilled. Il y a peut-être le syndrome Pucci là-dedans. Soit ça, soit elle aurait vraiment accouché de Battler. Soit on lui aurait menti en lui disant que son bébé était une fausse couche alors que c'était celui d'Asumu par exemple. C'est pas forcément un échange. Enfin si, c'est forcément un échange dans tous les cas. Mais on a pu aussi lui mentir en disant que elle avait fait une fausse couche et pas l'autre, alors que c'est l'inverse. Moi je vois que ça. Ouais. Sinon ça peut être un truc complètement surnaturel à la fin. Mais je l'aurais vraiment pas vu venir. Pour le coup... Mary is still 9 years old. I've only waited as long as the first half of Kairi's 18 years. If I gave up after justice, she would laugh at me. Do you think a miracle will occur within 9 years? I doubt that, it's all over. In a sense, I'm a ghost. I'm already dead. I'm just living on without noticing. A ghost waiting for eternity for a person who will never come. That's right. That day when I naively said that I wanted to support his dream, I was probably already dead. I guess that really was a regretful day in the end. I have dreams. I want to go overseas. I fly out of this tiny country, make it big and come back to you. That takes me back. At that time, I thought of lovers as a pair of people willing to acknowledge each other's radical dreams. That's why you would always happily cheer me up by talking about how I'd become a successful designer. Traveling to Paris to release a new line and getting jostled by the press. When I think about it, I really had my head in the clouds during that strange time. We both lifted the other up. I thought we were drifting about in the air. So when he said that he wanted to get out of Japan, I applauded him and promised to support him. Acknowledging each other's great dream with nothing but words is a classic sort of pillow talk between lovers. However, when it comes to actually carrying them out, you need to be more serious and calculating. For a long time I felt proud of letting him go on that day. No, I still do. But you still regret it. That's right. If I had sobbed and told him to stop on that day, I might not have fallen into hell. Seeing him off with a smile was my victory. Of course not. It's a thought I lost by default by refusing to fight the time I came. When the time came, I only glorified that loss, saw him off with a smile as he went to take on the world overseas, and became intoxicated with the illusion that I was some brave woman waiting patiently for a man's return with her daughter. Even though I didn't get a single call from him, then mail sent to the address he'd given me came back forwarding address unknown. C'est horrible en vrai, mais bon, on va pas te plaindre, Rosa. Hein. Sache-le. Hein. Ah non, non, non. This is hell. In this hell, I regret not fighting when I should have until the day I die. I've even dragged my daughter into it. I wish someone would just kill me. I want to be told that I've already been killed, but that I'm a ghost. In love, if you do not fight, you have to crawl through hell. Bah ça tombe bien. Alors, ça tombe bien, Rosa, parce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui peut exaucer ton souhait devant toi, là. Petit truc de magie, là. Yes, love is a fight. Will you win and gain, or lose and die? But please have not fear of this. After all, it's a peaceful sleep. What's truly terrifying is the hell where you find the unsleeping ghosts of those who couldn't win yet couldn't die. That hell has no hand. The battle of love is cruelest for those who never fought, but weren't able to die either. So in love you gotta make it or break it. Laying in battle like that is liberating. They say the most torturous toxin for humans is made from love grown stale. The suffering it brings exceeds the tortures of the most twisted hells. She used this knowledge to try and embolden her double and little sister, encouraging her to take on any trial no matter what fears. Oh non, pas Rosa, non. Si elle remeurt, je remets Samba de Janeiro. Hein. I understand. After all, when my desire to have Batless and accept me one day wells up in my chest, I can feel the seed that resides there. It's up to me to kill that seed or make it bud. However, if I let it rot here in my chest, that poison will slowly torment me forever. And that is the most fearsome torture in the world, even for 1,000-year-old witches. See what happens to those who make light of love. This hell of rosas is what happens to those who do not possess the courage to make the seed of love bud, and instead allow it to rot. One cannot end that pain by their own hands. Oula. Huh? Just now, was that a red light? Oh no, Rosa, no. Pardon me. Huh? What? Just now I thought I saw something strange. I wonder if I'm tired. It's probably just my imagination. Rosa picked up her cup of cold tea. When she did, she saw a small red rose petal float to the surface. Rose. I have heard that in your youth. You love to lie on that sofa. It wasn't a rose petal. It was a drop of blood that has fallen from Rosa's eyes. In an instant, Canal beautifully and precisely cut a single thread of Rosa's life. Non, mais pas comme ça. Yo, Shark Colossus, merci pour le follow. Je sais pas si tu viens de chez Ita, mais on joue à un jeu narratif. Un livre, en fait. Donc on lit, en fait. Voilà. Now, Rosa. There was no wound on Rosa's body. However, several drops of blood dripped down from her eyes. Her pain, her uncertainties, and her worries were all gone now. Slowly she fell down onto her side of the sofa. This had been none of the happiness things she had done during the happiest day of her life. Sleep well, brother-sama. Your hell has ended. Karen took a blanket out of a cupboard and gently covered Rosa with it. To anyone, it will have looked just as though Rosa was sleeping peacefully. Those demons had not exaggerated when calling this trial a battle of love. It was all this accurate and this cruel but unaccessible fact. And those who have their love shattered meet with death. Now my part is complete. Allez, pour Rosa. Pour Rosa. Qui en plus est très nulle, hein. Elle s'est pas battue, elle pue la merde. Contrairement aux deux autres. Rosa est morte, les gars. Un grand moment, comme à chaque fois.
On pourra, mais je sais pas. En fait, chapitre 2, je pense qu'il aura encore un peu d'affect pour Rosa. Il sera pas encore totalement dans le game de elle est détestable, je veux qu'elle crève, genre. Contrairement à nous, en fait. Mais par contre, tu lui fais chapitre 4, la samba, je pense qu'il passe la même musique. Sans problème. You see that demons? Oh là, il y avait Maria là. Hein? Hein? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé en une seconde là? Il y avait Maria? En gros? Quoi? Damn. You dare to kill my mom? Wow, 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 wow. Ouh, c'était pas prévu dans le plan ça. Oh putain de merde. You dare to kill my mama? You dare to kill my mama? Mais normalement elle s'en fout, hein. Quand elle meurt, elle est là en mode ouais, je vais la rejoindre à la cité d'or, hein. C'est pas grave. Waouh. One of the two great witches of Maria's sorcia, Maria. But she was just an apprentice. The power of sleeping within her had impressed even Beatrice at the height of her strength. In Maria's eye, though Rosa may have been the Black Witch, she was also the vessel of the mother she couldn't help but love. Her anger at having that stolen from her was near madness. You're dead too! Mama! Mama! Maria's attack was too emotional. Because of this, she didn't notice that Cannon had vanished for several orbits, and she raised the barrage at what had become an empty space. In the meantime, Cannon jumped from wall to wall around to Maria's back. Huh? I don't want to kill past my quota. But I'll clean up the messes I've made. Sakutaro! Ryu? What are you? Diplomatic immunity. I won't let you target Mario on me. Tiens. Il allait tuer une gosse de 9 ans par contre. Et là, ça commence à me tendre là. Même si c'est le game board. Là, ça commence à me tendre là. The red curved blade extending from Cannon's hand vanished in an instant. I tried hard to make it reappear, but when he attempted to use it on Maria and Sakutaro again, it vanished once more. Because of Sakutaro's power, he was unable to make either of them as the target of his attacks. Mais... de genre 9 ans, hein. There you are. How long have you been there? Ryu? Bah, quand on nage, c'est un seul digit. Oui. I won't let anyone bully Mario. Damn it. Maria finally noticed where Cannon was and she slowly turned around. Cannon made his sword materialize yet again. But no matter how often he tried, it kept fading out like a flashlight with a bad battery. I won't let you get away now. I won't forgive you for the sin of stealing my mama away. I kill you! Just like Mama killed all of them, I kill you without mercy. As Maria howled, the entire palace was surrounded by a cube of red magic barriers. It was a closed room symbolizing a barrier that Cannon could never escape. Damn it. Not here. Cannon cursed his bad luck. Even though he had fulfilled his goal in the demon's trial, if he was killed here, he'd be dragged off the game board. Maria, don't overdo it. Yeah, I won't overdo it. I'll be a little more gentle than Mama was. Wow. Really? Who is this? Oh non, 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 non. Ça commence à me tendre cette histoire. Pardon me, Maria-sama. In accordance with the contract with Zephyr-sama and Furfur-sama, I come for your life. Madre de Dios, Madre de Dios.
C'est... Ok. Ok. J'aime pas du tout ce qui se passe. Shannon, don't get in my way. It's pointless, Shannon. I won't let anyone target Mario. Yes, I don't intend to target her in any way. I will simply protect myself. A cylindrical but magical barrier surrounded Shannon as she stood in the center of the palace. She made its brightness and thickness grow, and its radius suddenly expanded, filling up the room. She wasn't targeting Maria. Par contre, si c'est vraiment un ersatz de la vraie vie, et qu'ils ont été vraiment à 2 sur un gosse à un moment, c'est très grave. This power was being wielded to protect Shannon's body, so Sakutaro's power didn't make it disappear. Listen, would you let you feeling off when my lady collapse in a situation like this? Enfin, le gosse, c'est sa daronne en plus, donc... ça va. Get a hold of yourself. By now the shield was Shannon at the center had covered the entire room. And its power crushed Maria and Sakutaro into the corner. Ironically, they were perfectly wedged between Shannon's barrier and the closed room barrier Maria had set up to prevent Shannon from escaping. No good, can't escape. I see this is a closed room. This might be just perfect for that wannabe detective who's trying to deny Beata's magic. Checkmate, Maria-sama. Is that acceptable? Yeah, it's fine. Crush me. There it comes. Here it comes. C'est la honte. Oh, c'est la honte. Et on n'a rien à foutre de mourir, Maria. Par contre, je parle de Shannon et Canon et tout, mais là c'est Battler qui a mis en place la game. Et c'est pour ça que j'ai dit tout à l'heure que je pensais qu'il nous montrait une partie de la vérité à minima. Parce que là, Battler serait jamais assez cruel pour faire un truc comme ça. Jamais de la vie. Jamais de la vie, genre. Battler ferait pas un truc comme ça on purpose, genre. C'est impossible. Donc bon. Moi j'y crois au côté la vérité, quoi. Et yo, Shark Colossus. Menoshita, j'ai Umineko, j'ai follow direct, j'ai pas tout lu mais j'adore, je me pose en l'heure que je suis fatigué, et bah merci à toi, et puis profite bien d'Umineko, et lis-le si tu l'as pas fait, parce que c'est vraiment incroyable. On est dans le top des œuvres de ma vie, et c'est pas fini, donc... Je sens que je vais avoir le... Umineko, je pense, je vais avoir le syndrome de... Quand je vais avoir fini, je vais avoir le syndrome de la chaise vide, en mode... Qu'est-ce que je fais maintenant? Pourquoi je peux plus lire? Qu'est-ce que je fais maintenant? Après, il y aura Higurashi, mais après Higurashi, on aura double syndrome de la chaise vide. Il va falloir aller à des fanfics ou aller sur Rule 34. Mais pour l'art style et pour ne pas oublier Umineko, bien sûr. Pas pour d'autres raisons. Important. Comment ça, alors non? C'est-à-dire, alors non. Par respect pour Umineko. C'est vrai, t'as pas tort. Oui, mais si c'est des persos que je respecte pas, genre Rosa par exemple, ça pose pas de problème. Bisous, Shark Colossus. À la prochaine. The entire room was filled with the red light of the shield, and the output and pressure were raised to their limits. Then crushed between the shield and their own closed room barrier, Maria and Sakutaro lost their form, scattered into a golden splash and disappeared. Ouais. À 2 sur un gosse, hein. Thank you. Couldn't afford to disappear here. If you lost in a place like this, you wouldn't be able to let it go. Yeah. I wouldn't give up if I lost in a place like this. Zephyr-sama, Furfur-sama, we have both finished our trials. Is that satisfactory? Whoa. Yeah, truly splendid. No complaints for either of you. And shall we finish with Beatrice's turn? Oh, where did she go? To the victim she chosen, of course. Clap, clap, on applaudit, s'il vous plaît. Then let's go there as well. Un show télévisé, le machin. Oh putain. Natsu, il y a une réalité où ça va ou pas? Non, 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 non. Non, avec ce qu'elle a vécu au chapitre 5, je refuse. J'utilise l'autorité de Rohan Kishibe pour refuser. Rohan, c'est le seul mec dans Jojo qui a gagné juste en disant je refuse. Ça n'arrivera pas. Point. Voilà. C'est pratique en vrai. Bah là je fais pareil sur Natsui. Je refuse. Avec ce qui lui est arrivé au chapitre 5, je refuse complètement. Mais Ron, il est cheaté, son sang est cheaté de base, et je pense qu'il... Vas-y, c'est un débat parallèle que je vais avoir avec ma termine un jour. Mais je pense qu'il peut rentrer en... Je pense qu'il peut rentrer en discussion pour au moins top 10 stand all time. Je rigole même pas. Son stand, il est cheaté à Rohan. Je rappelle qu'il peut réécrire. Il a juste à faire ça, tchic tchic tchic. Il évanouit un mec. Il peut lire toute sa vie dans ses pages. Et il peut réécrire ce qu'il veut. Il peut réécrire la réalité, quoi, concrètement. Voilà. Et il gagne pas contre GER. Parce que le simple fait d'essayer d'atteindre son... de pouvoir lire Giorno, ça le met dans une boucle de mort infinie, comme à Rokenjima. Par contre, il est complètement cheaté. L'autre jour, je réfléchissais, je me disais, si Rohan, il utilisait son stand et qu'il regardait la vie de Joseph. Imagine, il feuillette et là, il voit, j'ai battu un homme du pilier, un dieu inca immortel en l'envoyant dans l'espace grâce à un nazi cyborg. Il lit ça, puis il se dit, ah bon, bah c'est sa vie, bah, c'est bien. Pas trop le faire chier, même s'il a 120 ans. Ok. Bon, Natsui, on prie pour toi. S'il te plaît. Natsui will be seen in her personal room. Rosa told her to go to bed, but she couldn't afford to lie around sleeping on an important day like this. However, she realized that she was the type to get excited easily. Comment ça? And that this someone sometimes held her husband back. Je vais pas essayer de comprendre si c'est vraiment ce que je pense, mais je pense que c'est ce que je pense. Ouais, c'est vraiment ce que je pense. Natsui, pauvre vie, hein. Bon. So she didn't like it one bit. There was no way around it. It was probably close to time for the break to end, and the family conference will begin once again in the dining hall. Her husband will have to protect the Ushinomiya family honor from those greedy siblings all by himself. If she grew emotional by his side, she will just tie him down. So she knew that quietly waiting here was the best way she could support him. That didn't make the waiting any easier. Natsui pulled a small treasure box out of the drawer. C'est là où il y a le miroir magique du chapitre 2. This was our secret box. Inside was everything from valuable items to mere rubbish. However, they were all precious, memorable treasures in Natsui's eyes. She pulled a small pouch out of the box. She stuck her hand inside it. It was a kind of charm that her own family had given her when she had married. A spirit mirror to ward off evil. Her own face was reflected in it. Yours doesn't last forever. Recently, she'd seen a bit of her parents and grandparents on her own face. So by staring at her reflection in the mirror like this, she felt as though her soul has returned to the family she'd been born into. Dad, Mom, I've always been so ignorant and unable to support my husband. Of course, her face in the mirror did not answer. However, Natsui continued. I wait here alone because I love my husband. However, I think love means being close to one another. So I understand logically that staying here is the best way I can help him. I still feel rage for doing it. It's tough, isn't it? Waiting for the sake of love. With a plop, a tear fell onto the mirror. All dear memories of her life at her parents' house rose up inside her. Now was the time for her to follow her parents' example. When her father came home late, her mother would always sit up straight waiting for him, prepared for him to arrive at any moment. She would always wait for him, kneeling in the entrance hall, and no matter how late he came home, she would always wake up all the children, lying them up to greet him. At the time I only thought of her as being exceptionally strict, but at this age I finally understand how strong she was, persevering in her love for her beloved husband, even after being left in charge of the house when he was out. Because of your love for your husband, you couldn't bear to be made to care for an unfamiliar child. The sudden voice made Natsui jump up and look about the room. Oh pétard, c'est la fin. When she did, there was a Western lady wrapped in an extravagant dress. Who are you? Natsui was confused. There was no one like this in this mansion. However, I thought this was her first time seeing this person. It felt as though she had seen her somewhere else. Her mind had gone blank with anger at the ruffian who had snuck into her private room and confusion over the appearance of someone she didn't know. So it took quite some time before she realized that this was the witch of the portrait. Oh, you murderer, baby, you didn't know on that day 19 years ago I will not hold that sin against you. What are you talking about? Beto had chosen Natsui as a sacrifice. He was Butler's enemy. Mais non! No? Beto didn't know much about the details of Butler's birth. However, she knew about the fragment from the previous game, and knew there was a chance that Butler was the baby that Natsui had pushed off a cliff 19 years ago. Bah pourquoi? Quoi? Ah, parce qu'il a dit que c'était peut-être lui à la fin. Ok, oui, pardon. Enfin, il a essayé de faire croire que c'était lui, quoi. Mais oui, c'est clairement pas lui, du coup. Ok. C'est un misunderstanding, madame. Il ne faut pas tuer Natsui. Butler had used the blue wedge to protect Natsui from certain false charges. But if you took it as a confession by Butler himself, then from Beato's position, Natsui was an enemy who probably forced Butler to live a painful life. You killed that baby who liked your husband's blood for the sake of your love for your husband. So also for the sake of love, I will not hold this against you. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Get out, this is my room. Therefore, please do not hold it against me when I kill you for the sake of my love. Mano slowly stuck out her arms and, made as if to grab something in empty space. That grab bound itself into Natsui's neck. Natsui's heel lifted up and a faint purple shape appeared around the neck. Natsui frantically scratched at the neck, trying to stop whatever was strangling her, but there was nothing there. So to an outsider, it just looked as though Natsui was standing on her toes in anguish, scratching at her own neck. Oh que oui, Karam. Oh que oui. Après ça se tape sur Maria à deux quoi, à deux contre une gamine quoi, donc Both parents' lovers have shown their determination. I do not think that my love for Battle-san is inferior to theirs. J'avais dit que... en fait, vu que c'est ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure, j'ai théorisé que vu que c'était la game de Battler, et que du coup tout ça, ça découlait de ce que lui voulait, et que c'est pas un mec assez horrible pour faire ça, et surtout il est pas comme ça, Battler, je pense que c'est des fragments de vérité de ce qui s'est vraiment passé qui nous montrent. Ne me dis rien évidemment, no spoil hein. Voilà. Just as I will not blame you for your sin of 19 years ago, I will not blame myself for this sin. Bah si, il l'a protégé, mais bon. Ça reste un lion en plus, quoi. Enfin, pour moi, c'est un lion en plus. As Natsui twisted in agony, something she had been grasping fell from her grip. Since it had fallen by her feet, Beto dropped her gaze to see what it was. It was Natsui's spirit mirror. When she peered into it, there was a sound like a burst of electricity. That sound released Natsui from the invisible hand, and made Beato topple backwards like a doll. Healthy, Natsui tried to comprehend what was going on around her. Beato rolled over and did as though she had just bumped her head. Quickly tried to stand up. Her eyes were bewildered, though even she didn't really understand what had happened. What is this? That is surprising. You could touch spiderwebs without trouble, but you can't handle the spirit mirror? Even I don't have a clue what's happening. What in the world? She had thought that only Beato, the elder possessed non-human weak points, such as getting burned by spiderwebs and worse than having her power sealed by spirit mirror. However, for some reason, the spirit mirror alone could apparently affect Beato as well. Moi je pense que c'est possible qu'on tienne les vrais coupables dans ce chapitre. Hein. De ce qui s'est vraiment passé ce jour-là. Genre Jessica, Shannon, Canon. C'est fort possible, hein. Even Beato couldn't understand what about the spirit mirror had such an overpowering effect on her. But Natsui was different. She instantly realized that the reason for the hesitation of this unearthly being, the switch of the portrait, must be the power of the mirror. So she rapidly crawled across the floor and picked it up. Then she stuck it out so that Beato could see it. Beato still didn't know what was happening, so still sitting down she looked straight at it. And this time both of them understood the situation completely. Beato realized that the mirror was working some hateful power against her, and Natsui realized that the spirit mirror had the power to repel witches. Why is the mirror? It's because you're an evil witch. This miracle spirit mirror repels a creature of evil. Don't point at me. With the spirit mirror still held out, Natsui cautiously closed the gap between them. She was cautious so as to prevent the other from suddenly lashing out and stealing the mirror, but she still didn't move to corner this evil. I do not know who you are, and all I know is that you tried to kill me, and I know that you are a creature of evil, fearful of the spirit mirror. Be gone, evil one. Beato didn't understand what was happening herself. He didn't know why she had to fear the spirit mirror. However, when she tried to look at the bright light let out by the spirit mirror, it pierced her eyes. So she didn't understand why she must be afraid. She didn't understand that she must be afraid. By now, Beato realized that the spirit mirror was both terrifying and harmful. As it came closer to her, she felt an increasingly strong and painful burning sensation over her whole body, and saw someone was approaching her with a hot iron. She couldn't even open her eyes because of the mirror's bright, painful glint. Go return to the world from whence you came, evil one. I assure me and Natsui do not fear evil in the least. It's no use. Why is this musty mirror so... if I lose here, I'd be the only one to fail this trial. Just like George-san and Shannon-san, Jessica-san and Canon-san, I also want Butler-san to acknowledge me and treasure me. And even though I finally managed to be honest with myself, in a place like this, how alone will be. Are you giving up? Only you? Believe a miracle of love will surely occur. I love Butler-san. I want him to notice me, and I want him to acknowledge and accept my feelings. My reasons for calling him father and dedicating myself to him was out of duty towards a parent of mine. I would have been satisfied with no reward. That was a deception I used to fool myself. I love Butler-san, and I want him to acknowledge it. I accept it. I won't turn away any longer. I was born because I love Butler-san, and I want him to love me back. Alors, ce qui serait très intéressant, c'est que la Béatrice OG ait vraiment été comme ça 1000 ans auparavant. Ce serait vraiment dingue. And so, I cannot lose here. Be gone, evil one. There is no place for you here. Est-ce qu'en fait c'est pas un cercle vicieux qui se répète à l'infini? Genre il y a 1000 ans c'était ça, et pendant 1000 ans il y a eu la boucle. Est-ce que la boucle dure depuis bien plus longtemps qu'on ne le pense? C'est fort possible, hein. Her determination had come too late. If she hadn't knew from the start, she would probably have managed to finish Natsui off right then without any fear. Because she had wavered, it had taken time to kill Natsui, and think I'd ended up like this. But now I'm resolved. I want to love Battle-san. I want him to love me. And so I could not lose here. After all, I was born for Battle-san's sake. Yes, that is what we wanted to hear. Just after a sound like a beetle banging off all the walls filled the room, the spirit mirror was knocked out of Natsui's outstretched hand. Musique de fou, hein. Magnifique. It fell to the floor and, the stake flying around the room, pierced through it with a crash. Lucifer Sprite, right here. You dare mock me by choosing a single old mirror to be my first target in so long? Huh? Oh, Lucifer-san? Enter-sama, you must complete the trail. She's getting away. Someone help me. C'est horrible des deux côtés en fait. C'est affreux, genre. But the spirit mirror, a last ray of hope, had been smashed, and the number of strange demons had increased. Natsui could do nothing but run for it. However, if she made a scene and people gathered, the anti-magic toxin would burn better. There was a last chance. Thank you, Lucifer-san. Prepare yourself, assure me and Natsui. Once again, Beto choked the thin hair. This time she wouldn't let her escape. She had to end Natsui's pain right away before it got too drawn out, but her power wasn't enough. Though Natsui scratched at her neck, she also struggled to escape from the room. Her shaking hand stretched out to the lock on the door. A closed room is one of the concepts that allows a witch to be a witch. Just unlocking the door strengthened the anti-magic toxin a little. Since Beto was at her limit even within the closed room, if Natsui ended that lock, Beto's power would weaken immediately and Natsui would surely escape into the hallway. Their strengths were matched. However, Natsui's began to surpass Beto slightly. The power of the living to live in fundamentally stronger than the power of magic. Of course, Beto was mustering all her might. However, Natsui was just a bit stronger. That's enough. Lucifer, do it. As you wish. Lucifer transformed into a stake, and like the time she had smashed Natsui's spirit mirror, flew violently around the room. Then she struck Natsui's forehead. Natsui crumpled slowly. When Beto saw this, she also fell to her knees, breathing hard. Hey Zepar, does this count? Petrus didn't complete the trail by her own strength alone, right? That's right, Furfur. Trojan's trail must be accomplished without borrowing the help of any other. But maybe this is an exception. Appearing now as one, this doesn't count as help from outside. Atlas-san. Did you really have to scare me like that as soon as the first twilight? My apologies. Sorry I didn't listen to your instructions. Instructions? Well, I didn't stay in my room. Beto hung her head apologetically. When she saw this, Butler scratched his head uncomfortably. In that case, I should apologize too. I should have chosen my words more carefully. No, you did nothing wrong, Father. I mean, Butler-san. It's okay, call me whatever you like. Huh? Butler had always looked at the new Beatrice sternly. However, that was gone from his expression now. True, the old you may have called me just Butler. At first I might have tried to force you to speak to me that way. But that would be pointless. You are Beto, but you're still you. You can call me whatever you want. Butler-san. Sure, that was great. Can't say being called father is very my thing. Yes. Earlier she had hesitated just to say Butler's name at all. If Butler had told her to say his name without honorifics, she could have done it so right now. And even if she had, that might have hurt Butler even more. However, now she was allowed to call Butler by his name. He just had to look into her eyes, to see how happy this made her. I heard from Zepar and Furfur. It seems a strange game has been started. Yes, sorry for getting involved all on my own. No problem. That reckless way you leap in before you understand is really like you. And, well, I've heard about the theme of this game. Apparently you're supposed to play it in pairs. Oh non. Non. Ça fait 600. Donc c'est vraiment ce qui va se passer, mais... Bon. C'est un peu chiant, là. Yes, that is correct, Lord Battler. If you can succeed in winning through our trial, we will bless the pair of you and bestow a miracle of magic upon you. It seems this guy have been giving their power to Beato's golden butterfly brooch. That means its effectiveness is guaranteed. We've been stuck with each other for a long time now. Nothing wrong with playing this sort of game every now and then. Battle-san. Oh, did you hear that, Furfur? It looks like our battler is joining as well. That's no surprise, after all we've known since the beginning.
On applaudit Battler, qui va aller tuer quelqu'un au hasard. Bravo.
C'est... So who will your sacrifice be? I've already done my part. Go and check if you want. Very well, Lord Battler. Come, Furfur, let's go check. Yes, let's. But Zepar, this means that all 6 lovers have succeeded in their trials, right? What should we do next? The result of all 6 is the real deal. Let us test them further in the next trial. The 2 noisy demons disappeared. They had apparently left to go check on the sacrifice battle.
C'est donc ça, c'est donc pourquoi... Ok. Parce que là, il a l'air de très bien connaître Zepar et Furfur alors qu'on les a jamais vus avant, quoi. Donc, il a set up ça pour gagner le trial avec Beato. Ah, c'est tordu, hein. Et vraiment, Kara.
Apparently they have to go to check on the sacrifice Battler had killed. And also that Battler and Beato who could finally look at each other in the eyes and talk. We'll have some time alone. What do you think of the tale so far? When suddenly asked this question, Ange immediately came to her senses. Then she realized that she had been immersed in Ashijo's tale. She felt a bit defeated and tried to look displeased. You cleverly tried to distract us with this love trail stuff, but exactly 6 people have died setting up the first twilight. Impressive. Are you right? I hadn't realized. Amakusa clapped his hand as though he'd been outsmarted. Even though he figured out it before me, he played the fool. That's simply because the number of lovers just happened to be 6. The fact that it matched to the number of the first twilight was half coincidence, half design. It's a bit more interesting that way, it feels more like fate. Humans have the bad habits of taking two meaningless phenomena and trying to link them together, trying to make things seem like fate is a trick of books. I guess you aren't a fan of destiny and miracles, lady. It's like UFOs. Everyone knows about them, but no one has ever seen them. There's a cool metaphor. So, normally I try to skip over all the love and illusion and call them unnecessary unless sins for the mystery. But Okonogi-san disagreed with that way of thinking. He thought that by looking at things without love that way, the truth could never be reached. Without love, it can be seen. I mean, presents Okonogi catchphrase. Without love, it cannot be seen. Bah, comment ça, c'est sa catchphrase? Tu as pas commencé à voler les catchphrases, Okonogi, hein? Déjà que t'es dans Higurashi, fais-toi petit, hein? Yeah, that. If I put aside my anger at the person who killed my family in a story, and even speak with respect for Madame Achicho, the one who wrote this tale, then there must be a point to this depiction. After all, she used up all these pages talking about love and trials. In other words, those are the themes and keywords of this tale. And there are many who claim that all what is not written in anything and not worth reading. It is an honor, child of man. Parce qu'il est dans Higurashi. Il connaît Inamizawa. Voilà, hein. Simplement. And there are many who claim that all words not written in red ink are not worth reading. It is an honor, child of man, that you have read the black letters as well. C'est vrai. Ainsi que Lambda Delta. Mais je sais pas... Enfin, j'arrive pas à savoir laquelle des deux c'est, mais bon, on s'est compris, quoi. Stories are written because the writer has something they want to communicate. And some writers feel that it's unwritten to lay everything out too directly. All of this about how you'll never reach the truth without love has shown up many times in the works before this one. These new works makes that even more striking. It means that this is one thing the writer wanted to tell the most, the thing that they want us to think about the most. Bah pour moi, elle est dans l'œuvre de base. Si on parle, oui. Enfin bref, on se comprend. C'est pour le coup Okonogi, il y est factuellement, c'est la deux fois la même personne quoi. C'est ça que je veux dire. Burn non et enfin de ce que j'en sais pour l'instant et Lambda non plus. Ah Burn peut-être que si du coup. Mais je pense plus à des espèces de réincarnations ou de. Bon, enfin bref. On va pas trop en parler, puis ça me spoil, je sens, cette histoire. Elle est mentionnée dans les poèmes, ça je ne savais pas. C'est intéressant, ouais. When you think about it, there have been many scenes about love ever since Beato first appeared. Even the first time she appeared before Shannon, she spoke clearly about how love was a single element of the world. And the golden butterfly brew she had given was also an item for love. She had said that she enjoyed sowing seed of love and watching complications arise, and when Shannon stopped borrowing her power, the reason for her argument was also love. After her interaction with Butler started up in full scenes about love were toned down for a while, but the without love it can't be seen definition of magic had been mentioned repeatedly. Then in the tale right before this one, when Beato became like a doll, several scenes made it seem almost as though Butler and Beato has accepted each other as rivals, or possibly something more. In the end, Butler has regained some memory and his impression of Beato had undergone a complete change. And then in this game, from the beginning until now, the word love has been repeated over and over again. To tell you, Road keeps talking about love. However, that's not Maria and Nishan's viewpoint or Beatrice's viewpoint. It's a Chicho Toya's viewpoint. Correct? That is what I wanted to tell. And it is my own sort of answer. Answer? Then all of the crimes 12 years ago were a trail of love started by strange demons? Ridiculous. I didn't come here to read the romance novel you wrote. What I want to know about is the truth you claim to have reached. Foolish child of man. After reading all of this, do you still not understand? With an obviously condescending gaze, Chijo shrugged. It was clear that she was trying to provoke Ange. She was probably hinting that Ange should just go home if she was annoyed. If you're going to read my noble work and not even attempt to see whether you understand it, then get out. Normally, Ange would already have thrown a fit and left. However, she couldn't do that. So she didn't like someone else toying with her family's fate in the story. She was growing increasingly certain of something else as she read through it. Just as Ashisho's follower said, this tale really does have the same presence, the same scent as the tale written by Beatrice. The other was certainly different. However, because it reached the real truth, it had the same scent. One was beginning to acknowledge this. Ashisho Toya was one who had reached Beatrice's truth. An endless witch like Beatrice who could add to the endless estranging parallel wars of the cat box. If one has reached Beatrice's truth, they can create a new tale, whoever they are. With this new manuscript, I'm sure someone beside myself will appear and reach the truth. Those people won't be qualified to create new tales of their own. But there will be more and more endless witches. Yes, and as many endless witches will add to Beatrice's catbox tale. The more they add to it, the more people will reach the truth. When that happens, the very first endless witch, Beatrice, will finally be rewarded for writing such long letters, packing them in bottles and throwing them into the sea. Alors là, c'est très intéressant. You might have yelled at me angrily and risen from your seat. However, you did not. Why? I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to think that your tale has some kind of truth or hint within it. I already have my own ideas. However, that's no more than looking with a single eye. Unless I accept a different viewpoint from my own and look at things from more than one angle, I'll never be able to see the truth in 3 dimensions. That's my interpretation of without love it cannot be seen. Very well, child of man. Perhaps as the final survivor of the Ushurmia family, it was fated that you will find the truth and become an endless witch. I exist only as a guidepost to awaken you as a true successor. Ange Beatrice? Sometimes I don't understand what she's saying. However, she knows something. And maybe she has reached the truth as she claims. In other words, I didn't learn the truth even after reading the 2 messages bottled, but... C'est pour ça que là, le trial de Battler, ça peut être beaucoup de vérité. On peut avoir... Là, ça peut être les vrais coupables, juste, hein. Et là, atteint la vérité. I'm not reading tale after tale filled with hints. So this entire challenge is provoking me to think. Indeed. Perfect. I find this truth you think you've reached. It's a good thing I came here. That is it? I invited you here because you hadn't found it yet, child of man. Let the truth I see and the truth you see overlap. Just as you take things with a single eye, so do I. Now that I have found you, I can finally see the truth with both eyes. Wow. C'est très intéressant cette discussion par contre. Très intéressant. Ange trouve la vérité et fait quelque chose. Ah. So the first toilet has finally happened. Everything so far has made me so sleepy. You have some sleep in your eye. But where? Mind your own business. Huh. As you wish, let's begin. First off, the first toilet. Et Adler, je crois qu'il s'est juste dit à un moment, allez, rien à foutre, je balance tout, voilà, ça c'est la vérité, ça l'est pas, démerdez-vous, tiens, toi tu vas tuer machin, allez hop, rien à foutre. Béatrice, reviens à toi s'il te plaît, redeviens celle que tu étais, ah non tu peux pas, eh bah tant pis, c'est pas grave, on va faire avec, allez j'en ai plus rien à foutre. Il est complètement blasé là. Erika was dozing off on her bed, so when the knock sounded on the door, it took some time before she noticed. She looked at the clock and saw that not much time had passed since she had laid down. Yes, who is it? I hope you have a good reason for knocking on the detective door at an hour like this. That's right. I have one thing to say before we begin this game. On the detective proclamation thing? Do as you wish. No, I mean the opposite. I say we raise the stakes. Raise the stakes? What's this? Oh, that sounds interesting. What do you mean? It's simple. Natla got a shot off at us in the last game, so if Erika does the same in this game, we're only even. Wasn't the last game a tie? We failed to win a game that should have been a show-in, right? If that isn't a loss, I don't know what is. Right, Erika? Yes, my master. If I hadn't failed so miserably, we would have won that game easily. Oh, I get it. En même temps, c'est la partie de Battler. À force de... Il a acquis une connaissance totale du plateau, plus il a tout ce que... Enfin, il a tous les assets de Béatrice, entre guillemets. C'est un peu la game ultime, j'ai l'impression. Hein. Oh, I get it. So this time you intentionally fight a disadvantage by not making a detective proclamation, and win despite that. Oh! Mais du coup, qu'est-ce qu'on peut croire hein? Vu que la POV de Battler, on peut pas la croire vu que c'est le Game Master. Si elle fait pas sa proclamation, on peut pas croire non plus sa POV. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut croire hein? Your scheming not only wipe out your loss from the previous game, but totally flip the score upside down, right? You intend to participate in the game battles and pour Daniel art and soul into with a foolish handicap like that? That's not only presumption, it's quite rude. You've got a point there. It sounds more like an excuse just in case they lose. Bah, il faut juste du rouge là. C'est que du rouge en fait. Sure, you could also look at it that way. If they win, it's a great victory, but if they lose, Erika's side as a little excuse. Isn't that a bit unsporting? Don't worry, this bet is balanced on both sides. If this game is won by human without the detective proclamation, it will be impossible for Battler and the others to pick up the pieces of the illusion of the witch. But on the other hand, if Erika loses, the detective trash will be sent into the depths of oblivion, along with the worst possible fragments. Oh, comment elle parle mal. See, that's balance, isn't it? An ultimate victory with a mere human. Not a Superman detective destroying the illusion of the witch. She's putting her own destruction on the line to make that bet. I've gotten bored with the sluggish repeating games that you and the former batter made, so we're raising the stakes and setting in all at once. Well, that is true. If Battler makes it through this game, it's only that Battler has won Battle's game and the game will end. In a sense, it's a showdown, you can't escape, right? I see your position. Are you okay with that, Erika? Yes, of course. In order to regain my master's trust in me, which was lost by my previous defeat, I will risk even my own destruction. Et en plus, elle va pas pouvoir exploiter les scènes de crime et tout, parce que là, les gens vont pas tomber dans son truc, là. Is that of your own will? What's wrong, Erika? Answer him, okay? Obviously. This is my own will. I certainly will not lose. Even without the detective proclamation, I will defeat you, no matter what. Atlas-san. Sure, that's fine. If that's what you want, I'll accept that challenge. Et le scotch qui colle pas. Mais là, elle peut rien faire, là. Thank you very much. I'll make sure you regret it. After one battle played for the human side, he never had anything as convenient as the detective's authority. You know, all he was allowed to do was use the blue truth and demand that Beto repeat things he said. Exactly. In a way, the last game was unfair. We failed to win despite that, which is why it was no different from a loss. Do what you want. If you feel like making a detective proclamation, do it whenever you like. I understand that your holding is in reserve at the moment. As if I'd use such a thing. Bah, du coup, on peut en conclure que Battler a perdu sa propre partie. Puisqu'il y a la scène du mariage au début du chapitre. Mais alors comment? Against an opponent like you. Then get started, you two. I'm already starting to get bored. Leave it to me, my master. I will destroy the illusion of the witch for you without fail. Elle est au fond. Au fond du gouffre. George and Jessica had been the one knocking on Erika's door. They were asking whether Butler and Maria had come to this room. Of course they hadn't. A good while ago they went downstairs, saying they wanted to get something to drink. We thought they might come to your room. Of course not, why would they? Are you sure they didn't go to the mansion? We called the servants' room and dining hall of the mansion, but no one picked up. Please stay here, you two. I'm going to go check the mansion. Hey, it's dangerous to go out this late. How could a stranger sneak into the sealed off island? Stay in that cousin room of yours. Oui, bah je pense que ça doit être ça la résolution. Mais c'est ce que j'ai dit, hein, c'est la Game of Love, hein, je le dis depuis le début, mais... I won't let you if anything happens. I want to tell the servants in the guest house servants room not to leave the building. Bye. Wait a sec, Erika-san. She's a strange kid. After speaking her mind and not listening to anything else, Erika dashed down the stairs and rushed outside. The first twilight usually starts in the morning, but it looks like we got an early fight this time. No crime has occurred in the guest house. That means the stage of the tragedy is in the mansion. Though she had an umbrella up, Erika got drenched as she sprints. She brushed to lick the raindrops that dripped down her face. Erika was at her most energetic. Pitié, le beach episode, oui. Pitié. According to her memory from the previous game, the entrance hall to the mansion will be locked after the start of the family conference. However, the lock wasn't done this time. Had someone unlocked it, or had the lock not been set, or had it not been possible to set the lock? Well, no point thinking about it now. After all, that might be just a whim of the game masters. As soon as she entered the entrance hall, the door to the parlor opened violently. Out of it flew Goda's large body. Ah, good evening, Goda-san. Is something the matter? Oh, police ambulance. Oh. And the expression really is wonderfully pathetic. Just perfect for the first one to discover the crime. Please calm down. How could the police or an ambulance get to United Island inside a typhoon? I'm sure the phones are out anyway, so please calm yourself. Yells from Crows and Rudolph's group could be heard from the parlor. Their shaken appearance perfectly signified the coming of the first twilight. Well then, give me the victims, the scene, and a reconstruction of the situation. Those who left to take a break didn't come back, so the others went to the parlor. When they did, the door was sealed from the inside and they couldn't open it. You'll see later, but the hut stand in the parlor had been used to devour double doors from the inside. So you're trying to say that the door was blocked from the inside and the windows were also locked from the inside? That's it. When they went around and looked into the parlor through the window, They saw Rosa lying on the sofa in an anterior position, with blood pouring from her forehead. Then they smashed the glass, entered the parlor and discovered that Maria was also there, lying by the wall and covered in blood. Got it. Yes, that will make them yell. And the other crime scenes? The entrance was unlocked when they came into the mansion because they went out through it to check the parlor from the outside. It had been locked before they left through it, so there was a chance that the other had gone missing while lying elsewhere within the mansion, and the adults are now searching the entire building. So could the places the victim died match that long crazy delusion you showed earlier? They match. Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. Beyond that, Natsu was in her home room and Carrie was in Crow's studio. Eva was in the rose garden. No wait, she was moved to the VIP room, wasn't she? Yes, Eva's corpse was found in the VIP room. That makes 5 victims. Huh, that's one short for the first Twilight. Who's the 6th person unaware? C'est vrai ça. Some addition in this room is also set. Check it. The culprit might be hiding in there. Gotta do it. D'ailleurs, on ne sait toujours pas qui est la personne dans la chambre là. Rudolph and Cross had brought Winchesters from Kinzo's prized collection. They yelled that Goda was carrying the wire cutters to cut the chain. The victims had been found one after another at several locations inside the mansion. The men who had lost their wives searched through the mansion in a rage, looking for the culprit. This was a guest room. It has previously been a room where the relatives would stay, but it hadn't been used much since the construction of the guest house. This forgotten room had been sealed from the inside by the chain. As soon as the chain was cut, Rudolph pushed Goda aside and flew into the room. Is anyone there? Get out here! There's someone on the bed! Let's get some light, Aniki! When Cross pushed the switch on the wall, the guest room lit up and the figure lying on the bed came into view. Huh? Ho, 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 ho. C'est donc Butler qui était enfermé. Et le trial de Meta Butler, c'était de se tuer lui-même. What the fuck? C'est la première fois que ça arrive. Voilà. On a dû attendre le chapitre 6. C'est la première fois que ça arrive. Butler, damn it, what are you doing in a place like this? Rudolph's knees crumpled and he fell over Butler's corpse. No words couldn't console him as he cried with a mad sorrow. In a single night, he had lost both his wife and his son. During this time, Cross checked the window and the bathroom, and searched the closet to find if anyone was hiding there, but found no one. Butler, damn it! Oh, sad. C'est la première fois qu'on voit la réaction aussi de Rudolph à la perte de son fils. Il est dégoûté, genre. C'est pas un si mauvais mec, Rudolph. Hein. Je suis désolé de le dire. Hein. Faut le dire. I can't believe it, but this room is also a closed room. What, again? Yes, my studio where Carrison was, Natsu's room, the VIP room with Eva, the parlor with Rosa and her daughter, and now Butler couldn't in this guest room. La barre est par terre. Non, mais... Ce que je veux dire, c'est que... Il est vraiment au fond du fond. Et on nous l'a fait passer pour un espèce de mec un peu méchant, un peu playboy. Bah, c'est peut-être le cas, mais... Ce que je veux dire, c'est qu'il a vraiment... c'est pas un si mauvais mec que ça, juste. Dans tout ce qu'il fait depuis le début, hein. Donc c'est vraiment la première fois qu'on a un Butler dead. Et ça change pas mal de choses. Enfin, ça change rien, en vrai. Vu que c'est la game de Butler, il fait un peu ce qu'il veut, mais... C'est la première fois qu'il meurt avant la fin, surtout. Dire que Butler s'est auto-tué. C'était le Butler de l'échiquier qui était enfermé dans la... Enfermé dans la pièce. Et il est mort là-bas. Comment expliquer, en fait? Ça veut dire qu'il est là depuis le départ, il a pas débarqué par bateau et tout? Comment il s'est retrouvé là-dedans en fait? On sait pas. The whole closed room, aren't they? I don't understand. It could be suicide, could be called it. It's impossible. How could it be a suicide? Butler! Oh, there's a surprise. To think that you yourself will be the sixth person. It's more interesting to kill yourself off every now and then. C'est juste qu'il a pas envie de tuer qui que ce soit d'autre. C'est juste ça. And all of the crime scenes are closed rooms. It's a murder that couldn't have been performed without magic. Isn't thinking through at the point of this game. In other words, it must be a murder that could have been performed without magic. After all, if it really could be done only with magic, this wouldn't be a game. That's an interesting thought. Yes, that is the sort of game we've been playing. This game is fair. The goal is to explain without magic the strange crime that are claimed to be caused with magic. If that couldn't be done, it wouldn't be a game. In other words, as Erika has said, this must be a murder that could have been performed without magic. Turning it around, the witch side has a certain responsibility. They had to make a crime that could be reproduced with trick and not magic. Unless the human side could fit through those tricks, the witch side could use all kinds of magic and illusions. In other words, in order to carry out a closed room murder with magic, it was necessary to create a crime that would be possible by human hands. Now I understand. I see why, when I ordered the Seven Sisters to kill my classmates back at St. Lucia's, they couldn't do what I told them, and I understand the meaning of Mammon's words. Magic can only do what you can accomplish by your own hands, is that it? At that time, if I had possessed determination to kill my classmates... No, that's not it. At that time, if I had been capable of killing my classmates, capable of pulling it off, then the Seven Sisters of Purgatory would probably have pulled it off for me. They could only accomplish what I couldn't do myself. But that's not it either. They could take what I had accomplished and turn it into magic. However, because there had been a great number of witnesses in its classroom, it would probably have been impossible. It would have been burned by that anti-magic toxin Maria Onichan and the others always talk about. However, if I had called those classmates out somewhere without witnesses, and if I had succeeded in murder, at that point the Seven Sisters of Purgatory will be capable of carrying out a magical murder. Even with magic, witches cannot do things that they cannot accomplish by themselves. They can only adorn things they are capable of doing with magic. Interesting, and that is because those who accomplish something without using magic later claim that magic was used and call themselves witches. This Lyrica person has understood that since the beginning. That's why she will never surrender to witches. She is confident that it must be explainable with tricks. The old butler was taught with so frequently because he did not possess that conviction. Once she sees through that rule, the witch loses any chance at victory. That's why they have to make their opponent surrender before they see the truth of that rule. Et du coup, ça me fait quand même bizarre qu'Erika soit un vrai humain en reparlant de ça, parce que bah, c'est vraiment Burn, la personnification de Burn, quoi. Mais somehow, c'est un vrai humain. The longer the match is drawn out and the more hints are given, the greater the witch's overwhelming disadvantage become. Once again, this reasoning keeps spinning around in circles. Why did Beato let this game get drawn until she lost? Je vais pisser. J'arrive. Heureux. Pardon, j'ai menti, j'ai dit que j'allais pisser, mais je suis allé chier, donc... Hop. Many victims have been found and the mansion was still wrapped in chaos. The Exit group seemed to have gone to the guest house worrying about the safety of the kids there. Person in Rudolph's group was in the hall, thinking about what should be done next. During a short gap in this chaos, Rika dashed all about the mansion. He was checking the crime scenes. Normally, with the detective's authority, Erika had the right to openly investigate the crime scenes to her heart's content. However, this time, she hadn't yet made use of that authority. She was a guest and an outsider, so there was little to no chance that she would be allowed to investigate. So she was forced to quickly check all of the crime scenes now, while she could still run about as she pleased. In the servant room, there had been a clear folder containing a sketch of the mansion's interior. Because she had borrowed that, she knew the location of all the rooms. Rika skillfully made her way through the mansion, dashing into each crime scene in turn. Lady Erika, I believe you know, but allow me to warn you, just in case. Yes, what is it? It is true that you have an incredible photographic memory, Lady Erika. That, combined with the detective proclamation, is what made it possible for you to avoid being deceived by anything. Yes, I get it. Since no detective proclamation has been made about me, even my photographic memory doesn't count as foolproof evidence. Of course I understand that. Still, that doesn't mean I can afford to miss viewing the crime scene directly. After all, in the last game, my pride in that regard led me to a truly miserable failure. For example, by this argument, no matter how well you examine a person's corpse, you could not even guarantee that they were not faking their deaths with absolute certainty. Mais comment c'est possible qu'elle s'en soit sortie? Pas possible. Most probably, features of this situation must be individually confirmed by telling Butler to repeat them in red. And I need to use the Bluetooth library in order to make him. I understand. Let's start with the basics. The lack of the detective's authority is no handicap. It simply means that I'm fighting under the same condition Butler once was. Yes, this fight is retracing the old days when Butler and Battle fought so fiercely. I have nothing as convenient as the detective's authority. I just have to truly fight the same way to the old Butler fought. Thinking of it this way, it may be true that I was given quite a favorable and fair position last game, just as my master said. It may be difficult without the detective's authority, which is also my pride and honor as a detective, but I won't let that be a handicap. I know what magic is, and I'm fully aware of how to fight with the red and blue truth. I know the way to fight in this game many times better than the old Butler did. I quickly visited the VIP room, Process Studio and Netsuite's room on the second floor, as well as the parlor and the guest room on the first floor. This time checking with my own eyes, as I failed to do in the last game. Ah. On a confirmation de Eva. Ah mais là elle est dans la merde là. Pourquoi tous les autres PNG sont jolis et Maria elle est en 1P genre. Bon. First off, one of the scenes were made to look like closed rooms. Wildly of special note was the fact that the master key could have had nothing to do with the trip. The closed rooms were all made without relying on any elements that could be locked or unlocked from the outside by master key or something else. The windows were locked from the inside and the doors were all locked and chained. A master key could get around all the locks on the doors, but not the window locks on the chain locks. I haven't yet had Butler confirm that it's impossible to manipulate those from the outside, but I'm sure I'll be able to see it in red. It would be stupid otherwise. I understand. Right now I am a mere human. I can't even properly confirm the deaths of the corpses. Last time I neglected to check the corpses and let a massive bit of magic get by me. I won't fail like this again. If I did, I wouldn't be able to face the master I'm so indebted to. We will check all of the scenes and finish gathering informations. Here is our report. Go ahead. First, all of the rooms are closed room 4 by the window lock and chain locks and the like, so that interference from the outside will be difficult. The only exception is the parlor, where Rosa and Maria lay dead. Please allow me to speak. Let it be known that the door was barred with a hat stand. It is thought to be substantially the same as a chain lock, in that it can only be set from the inside. It is probably their goal to construct a closed room with explanation using master keys that made it completely ineffective. The parlor I now chain lock due to its very nature, so it's natural that something else will be used in the chained place. In that case, the interesting question become one on the other room with chain locks wasn't chosen to be a closed room. There were several guest rooms and the one butler lay dead in, all with similar layouts, correct? Yeah, that is correct. In that case, even though it should have been more beautiful to throw them in there, so that everyone would be inside a chain lock closed room, they did not. That hat stand door bar in the parlor seems very suspicious. I should probably pursue this when demanding red truth. Also, we have corpses, but are they the same absolute deaths with their necks sliced open like the last game, which could be confirmed even without the detective authority? Of course, she had checked all the corpses in all of the crime scenes this time. However, without the detective authority, she had no guarantee that she would be able to see through any fake deaths with certainty. The old butler also started fighting by doubting whether the victims were truly dead. It was the same for Erica. Please allow me to speak. Know that there were no corpses that could have been confirmed deaths with certainty by physical means. Please allow me to speak. You cannot deny the possibility that any one of these corpses might be a fake death. While I doubt Butler was totally confirmed that death in Red if I'm too. Sheesh. I like Bethel's chain of 6 closed room better. However, this closed room are even more complete considering that mastic heat don't help you at all. There are 2 general ways of breaking closed room that Butler might be after. An illusion of a closed room and an illusion of a crime. That'd be one of those. I get the first one. But when something looks like a closed room, it actually isn't, right? What do you mean by an illusion of a crime? An illusion that makes it seem as though a crime has occurred. In other words, are they really dead? Well, that's dumb. If the people inside are alive, handling any kind of closed room is like pissing in a toilet. Still, with this closed room, it's pretty hard to think of any other answer. What about the endless possibilities of manipulating the chain lock from the outside? We don't know if there are secret doors, way to kill from a distant chance of suicide, or even whether they're a complete closed room in the first place. I already know since I'm looking at Butler's game board from the underside. When there are perfect closed rooms, they can only be constructed from the inside and there exists no method by which they construct, or interfere with them from the outside. Can you say that in red? It'd be a little too rude to Butler, so now. If you do love me, you must see my words as red truths already, right? Then the closed room are perfect. In other words, this is an illusion of a crime. It does seem that way. If so, they are all tricks closed rooms. Doesn't it mean that everyone got so pissed at Erica bragging about detectives and stuff that they joined together and set up a fake murder to make fun of her? Ce serait incroyable ça. Oh oh oh! J'y crois pas, mais ce serait dingue. Or is that the right answer? I'm like a super detective. Unfortunately, this isn't a fake. The victims really have been killed. Huh? And you don't mean by midnight on the second day, right? No detective proclamation has been made, but she's very accurate when examining corpses. She's good enough that I could give her examination the right truth. So, does that mean that they were definitely dead when Erica examined their corpses? Yes, that's right. Totally. But you won't say it's in red for her, right? And that poor Erica must want it so bad. Yo, Friesen. Lequel d'outfit? À gauche, c'est mieux en vrai. Ah, moi à droite, j'ai un peu du mal parce que bah j'aime pas trop la citrouille là. Et les bons becs. Non, la robe est bien, mais ouais. À gauche, c'est plus sobre. Joue à Umineko, Friesen. Voilà, c'est important. Well, she isn't even the detective this time around. I won't give her any red. So that makes it incredible. This time Battle has already made a perfect closed room. Oh yes, I believe you're right. Il y a un patch FR qui arrive bientôt. Ils en sont où d'ailleurs? Attends. Rokenjima. Rokenjima.fr. Ils avancent, hein? Ils ont presque fini le chapitre 1, là? Quand il sortira, de toute façon, je préviendrai si les gens veulent y jouer en français. Parce que je jure que c'est une expérience qu'on vit qu'une fois. Hein. Will Erika be okay? This looks like an ordinary closed room murder at a glance. But this one's pretty nasty. Won't this load be a bit too heavy for Erika without her detective's authority? She's a self-proclaimed detective. I'm sure she'll pull through. If Butler and Beato are defeated by remaining human who isn't even a detective, they'd fall apart in the most exquisite way, don't you think? And even if Erika loses, you get to play by throwing her into the worst fragment and knocking her into the depths of oblivion. Exactly. No matter how it turns out, it won't be boring. You really are heartless, aren't you? Well, wringing out this black cat like a towel and licking up every last drop is bliss to me. Beato's game board didn't entertain me for quite some time, but we've already wrung everything we can from it. It'll be over with this game, so in the end we really must let Butler and Erika bet everything in one final face-off. Tch, I wanted to play with you forever in this game. What a shame. Come now, I spent plenty of time with you already. Go find me another interesting game. If you do, I'll play with you again. Oh yes, you really don't let me get bored. That's okay, Castle. Seeing your face twist with anguish is the one forbidden honey I found for myself. Lambda Delta had guaranteed that it was perfect closed room. Castle had guaranteed it was perfect murder. A perfect closed room and murder. The witches ate to Killjoy, so they haven't said anything with the red truth yet. We're saying that was the rule for Butler and Erika. Looks like you've trampled over the crime scenes by now. Satisfied? Is your inspection complete? Yes, I'm satisfied. So I bought a war of red and blue. Shall we start right away? Or do we roll at the end? I don't like putting things off. I think the same goes for you. Then let's get started with the closed room of the first Twilight. First, I'd like to check. Do you intend to respond if I ask you to repeat something in red? Depending on what you say, yes. I have no obligation to respond to everything, and I won't reveal my reason when I refuse. Good. Then let's start simple and confirm the definition of a closed room. Lenore, please read it aloud. Understood. We demand that the following be repeated. Lenore spread out one of the scrolls that some official will always spread out when announcing the king in Western fairy tale and read it aloud. First, the room with the thick people in them are all closed rooms. Acknowledged. Of course, that's only until Gola and the others severed the chain and destroyed the closed rooms. Another from Dan or Cornelia, who stood behind her, started taking notes. Second, the definition of a closed room implies that it is impossible to construct from the outside. Acknowledged. In other words, the trickery done from the outside can construct a closed room. It is not permitted for a chain lock to be read from the outside by a cleverly used wire, for example. I didn't need you to tell me that. Planner, please continue. Third, the definition of a closed room implies that all form of interference that passes between the inside and the outside of the room are prevented. Acknowledged. However, I won't deny the kinds of interference that you'd expect from a normal room, such as knocks, voices, and the extension telephone lines. Fourth, at the time of the construction of the closed room, none existed within the room except the victims: Natsui, Eva, Carrie, Rosa, Maria, Butler. Acknowledged. In this way, they could confirm whether or not the culprit had been hiding inside the closed room. If the culprit had slipped out of the room after the discovery and noticed the murderer and then walked away, it would have been possible to construct an illusion of a closed room. Because Butler acknowledged their statement with the red truth, the possibility that the culprit and the victim had both been inside the closed room at the time of the crime, and that the culprit had hidden under the bed and snuck out after the discovery of the crime, had been denied. Fifth, no murder was committed after the reconstruction of the closed room. I refuse. Ooh. Why? Because the victims were well alive after the closed room were destroyed. So Cross and the others were buried in where the culprit had committed the murders then. In other words, they were close room murders, if that's what you refuse. Not at all. The murders will continue to occur, so we cannot say in red that no murder will happen after this. Sheesh, what twisted logic. You probably see what we're getting at. First, the group cut the chain and destroy the closed room, then kill the people inside. I just want you to counter this. Jerica, it is insufficient to refer to Crow's group as a specified number of people. You should please determine which human entered the room after the closed room was disconstructed. Allow me to speak. Accepting the victims, those who entered the closed room are Crow's, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda. Allow me to speak. This is based on spoken testimony. Know that there is no proof that others did not enter. I know that already. Let's have you repeat that. After the disconstruction of the closed room, then excluding me only Crow's, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda entered the rooms. Sure, acknowledged. However, this only applies to the current point in time. It's possible that some later development in the game will cause more people to enter. Repeat it. Cross, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda are not culprits. Matlab put his finger on his chain deep in tough. This word culprit was fairly broad, and it might serve to greatly restrict the darkness of the witch. Why not answer? If we refuse the blue truth naming Cross and the others, the culprit will remain. Sure, I acknowledge it, but I'll make the language more strict. Cross, Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda were not involved in the murder of Natsui, Evakari, Rosa, Maria, and Butler. And that means it was also impossible for any of the other humans who didn't even enter the closed room to have been involved with murder, doesn't it? Who knows, think about it yourself. You think you can build up some blue truth for how a closed room murder can be committed without entering the room, then I'll respond with the red truth. However, I'm going to destroy one of the blue truths we'll be presenting from here on out. In other words, even if you do manage to use the blue truth and explain this away with some long-distance closed room murder trick X, I don't necessarily have to counter that with the red truth. There are the rules of the witch game. And it was confirmed that the detail was better in the fourth game. The witch side lays out a riddle after riddle that its claims are impossible to carry out except by magic. The human side must use the blue truth to argue that they are explainable with tricks, and if they fail to make a counter-argument with the blue truth for even one of the riddle, that riddle will be considered to have been done by magic and it will be impossible to deny the existence of a witch. Okay, oui. In other words, the witch side only need to protect any one of its riddles. However, the human side had to fully explain all riddles with the blue truth. And even if the human side manages to explain all of the riddles with the blue truth, if any of those is successfully countered by the red truth, the witch will win. That was why, like the strategy the whole battle was adopted at the end, it was sufficient for the witch's side to put up that red text counter-argument until the very last moment, then make a single strike at their opponent's most fragile spots. In any event, you refuse to repeat that last one, right? Don't get the wrong idea. I don't give out a red for free. From the witch's side perspective, repeating statement made by human side is just a supplement to make sure that they haven't misunderstood the question. Therefore, they had an obligation to respond to extremely broad demands. Not bad. Looks like you can handle being a player on the witch side pretty well too. Her experience is no match for mine. Tch, Glanor. Let's continue. Next, the victims did not die by any method other than homicide. Acknowledged. Of course, there were no suicide or accidental death. 7th, the victims. That's enough, Plano. Are you sure? Let's see items. Yes, that will do fine. I've confirmed the statues of the crime scene. From here on, it's time for me to argue back with the blue truth. Sure, fine. Let me hear your masterful theories. Thought Butler and Erica were enemies. It looked bad to us, so they were having a little fun doing this. She was probably slightly jealous of Erica. Battles was back on a book she had read in Featherin's library, in which the Holder and Butler had fought. It must have been full fun as well. During a short break in the family conference, an horrible, brutal mass murder had occurred. The 6 people killed, excluding Butler, had all been women. The remaining men went mad with rage at this cowardice, then broke down sobbing at the sadness of losing their wives over and over again. Where were the old women? How cowardly can a person be? What's wrong with us? Here we are under the same roof and we're just smoking away, not noticing that members of our own family are getting killed. Damn it! But who and who? They were not unguarded. The chain was set for all of them. Who gives a damn about that? I don't care how they were killed, I just wanna know who did it. Hey Genji-san, Goda-san. Why are the doors and windows to the mansion all locked during the family conference? Yes, there can be no doubt. In accordance with Madame's instruction, everything is always locked at the time of the night patrol. Tonight was a special case, so everything was locked up right after seeing the children up to the guest house. How is that possible? I mean, Butler and Maria-chan were inside the mansion, right? They shouldn't have been able to get in, right? Everything really was locked up properly, that couldn't have happened. Doesn't that prove that the building was completely locked up? Well? He was arguing that Goda's failure to lock up properly might have allowed the strangers to sneak in. At the very least, none of them had known that Butler and Maria had visited the mansion. If those two had come and found everything locked tight, they wouldn't have been able to get inside. If they had rung the doorbell, Goda would probably have heard them from the servant room, but Goda said that nothing of the sort had happened. How they had entered the locked mansion was a complete mystery. This is merely an idea, but for example, what if Madame of someone happened to be near the entrance? Not that Butler-sama and Maria-sama knocking on the door, ringing the bell and let them in. It couldn't have happened. You were in the servant room then, right, Goda-san? Isn't there a chain in the servant room that goes off when the front door is open? There's no way you would have missed anyone. Well, at that time Goda was serving drinks as you requested. So he was not in the servant room? Why was there only one servant in the mansion on such an important day? Why was someone as important as Genji-san on duty in the guest house? Does that make any sense? On a encore Kinzo ou pas? Ah, non. Why was the servant room left empty? My wife formed those shifts. She probably hoped that Goda would be kind enough to serve some fashionable drinks throughout the family conference as well. Gross, Nissan. It is the family conference, right? The most important day of the year, right? Why was Goda-san left as the only person on shift in the mansion? If there had been just one more person, everything would be different, wouldn't it? Right? Right? With a half-crying, half-enraged, jumbled-up expression, Hideyoshi yelled at Goda. Of course the culprit who killed everyone was the most to blame and the most despicable. However, even if he understood that, he needed to let off some of his emotion by hating someone he could see. I'm fully aware of how everyone feels. However, please calm down. Either Goda-san wasn't true when locking up, or someone let Butler-san and Maria-san in after they came back from the guest house and then forgot to lock up afterwards. However, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with how the culprit snuck in. After all, the mansion is massive. They might have come in much earlier and hid until late at night for all we know. I can understand that you might want to suspect certain person, but please calm down. Our guest is right. The culprit is the one we should hate, not the servants who just happen to be on duty. At any rate, let's calm down. I'll feel as terrible as the rest of you. However, we must take the initiative now and regain our composure. Nikki, everyone feels just as sad and devastated, and none of us will ever forgive the one who did this. For that reason, we must regain our composure. He is right, I still have George. Of course, Nissan still has Jessica-chan, and Ralph-kun, you still have Anshan waiting for you to return, right? It's still too soon to start pointing fingers. The culprit is still on this island, and we can be sure that this tragic crime is over. We need to stay calm and prevent any further tragedies. Rex's words softly consoled them and gently admonished them. If a servant had said the same thing, Rudolph would probably have jumped on him. However, since it had come from the lips of the guest, a neutral party, it seemed to reach their ears. Let's stay cool. We have 3 grown men with us, and guns as well. Judging by the pattern of the murder, the chance of the culprit having a gun are low. In other words, as long as we keep our heads, the culprit no longer has any way to touch us. She's right. We can't let the culprit do as they please any longer on our island. Find the culprit. We're in the middle of a typhoon. They can't escape from the island, and there's only so many places that they can take shelter from the rain in. This island is larger than you think. Unfortunately, it will be difficult to search the island with this many people. After all, if you found the culprit, you might shoot them to death on the spot as you are now. If the frightened culprit has run into that deep forest, you won't find them easily. Right, we should just wait for the different to pass. Have the boat call the police for us and let them thoroughly search the island. The police are incredible. They'll bring hundreds of people and pigs through it with a fine-tooth comb. That forest may be deep, but they definitely smoke the culprit out. The most important thing now is to make sure no more of our beloved family member are taken from us. Rudolph, if something happened to you, what will happen to Anshan back home? Ça, on le sait, malheureusement. Très malheureusement. Carrie Butler, damn it. I never had a chance to tell you the truth. The truth? Of course, son. I'm sure that everyone in the cousin room is extremely agitated right now. If you show them that you've regained your composure, I'm sure that will help them relax a lot. Would you mind ending up there? Good point. We have to talk with everyone about what we're going to do next. Please go up with him, Genji-san and Goda-san. I'm sure that Shannon-san, Kanon-san, and Kumasawa-san are all very agitated. Yes, I'm sure everyone is quite agitated. Are you certain? Is there anything else we can help with? That's why I want to go with Crow-san. I want to get there to help him if something happens. I'd like for the rest of us to check and see that everything's locked up here. We'll head up soon, so please go on ahead. Understood. If you need anything, please call us. Genji bowed and Cross nodded. Cross also nodded to Erika, then headed up to the second floor with Genji and Goda. You will dire merci camarades. Ça va quoi? Ça joue à Sunshine un peu? Ah bah nice. Bah écoute, je te le souhaite en tout cas. Un jour je reviendrai Sunshine. Et pas avant d'avoir 3 shootouts sur Mario. Comme ça c'est dit. In times of confusion, when only men are around, it's easy for a composed member of the opposite sex to take the initiative. Even without the detective's authority, she was able to control them quite naturally. Erika had wanted to get rid of the servants for the time being. Ouais, le chap 6, il est... Bah, surtout que j'ai fait des plus petites sessions pour le chap 5. C'est peut-être ça l'impression. Mais demain, je le finis. Demain, je le finis normalement. Je vais faire une session d'après-midi, une session de soir, après le tournoi code, et je le finis. Okay, in that case, let's get to checking the locks. Our problem is gonna be the big window in the lounge. It looks like it doesn't even have shutters. If they smash this, we won't be able to stop them from coming in. Don't worry, the sound of the glass smashing will be more than enough warning. We'll turn them into Swiss cheese. Quiet, please. I don't have you stay down here to check the doors and window. Please listen calmly to what I'm about to say. When Erika lowered her voice, Rudolph and Hideyoshi realized that she wanted to talk about something secret. So they brought their ears closer as soon as they regained their composure. Listen up. This crime happened during a short break in the family conference. In that tiny span of time, 6 people were killed without anyone noticing. I can't imagine a crime improvised on the spot going so smoothly. The crime was committed by someone who knew the layout of this mansion well, inside and out. Well, if you didn't know the inside well, that's a short while ago they had attacked Goda, suspecting the servants of making a blunder. However, they only thought that he'd forgotten to lock up and were attacking him for letting the mysterious culprit sneak in. They hadn't considered that one of the servants they knew so well might have taken those lives with their own hands. No, they hadn't wanted to think that. People can't easily suspect someone that they know well of being a culprit. At the time of the crime, the mansion was locked from the inside and only those involved with the family conference existed there. So Aniki killed Kairi and the others? Or am I supposed to suspect Hideyoshi Nissan? It's impossible and unthinkable. I never even considered suspecting Cross Nissan or Rudolph Kuhn, or the siblings that excellent relationships with the spouses. True, the Ushimura family may be strict with discipline and money, but that doesn't mean we treat our own family less than anyone else. Yes, of course, I believe that. I wouldn't dream that any of you will kill your own wives. Erika had already received right-truth proof from Butler that they were not the murderers, so there was no need to argue that point. Cross Rudolph, Hideyoshi, and Goda, none of those four was the killer. And yet Erika said this. However, what about Goda-san? He was in the waiting room the whole time during family conference, in a position from which he could do anything without anyone knowing. Pourquoi faire ça? Isn't it too early to suspect Goda-san? Goda-san came to bring us drink in the dining hall during the break. He was with us for quite some time. He couldn't have had time to kill 6 people. However, he might have been able to let the actual killer into the mansion. Precisely. Goda-san probably didn't kill them himself. However, it's very possible that he secretly welcomed the actual murderer into the mansion. Rudolph and Hideyoshi stand and look at each other. They were family. Even a wife of the siblings would be considered family. So the siblings hated each other. It wasn't possible that they'd hate each other's wives enough to kill them. Eva and Rosa were 2 of the siblings, but none of the others would have any reason to kill Natsui, Kairi Butler, or the young Maria. But to a servant like Goda, perhaps they were all little more than complete strangers. I suspect the servants on 2 points. First, the victims are familiar with them, and there were no signs of a fight in any of the crime scenes. I think you know well that there was no disturbance at any of those places. I was thinking that too. Figured Kairi was used enough to fight that she wouldn't get killed as easily without resisting. And one wouldn't hesitate to bite your finger off. It does make more sense if the culprit was someone she knew, who suddenly attacked where her guard was down. Come to think of it, the same goes for my Eva. She knows a dozen kinds of martial arts. She spends every day practically wishing for some ruffian to attack her. She wouldn't have been killed off so easily. But what about Rosa-san in the parlor? Do you think she'd been easily killed by a stranger without resisting while she had her own daughter with her? And it started something else that's important. Something important? The culprit isn't just one person, right?
Et c'est ce que je pense du chapitre 6, moi. Je pense que ça nous montre la vraie vérité et qu'il y a plusieurs coupables. Mais... Et ce serait terrible.
You're right. Both Rosa and Maria-chan were in the parlor. If they hadn't both been killed at the same time, there would have been an uproar. Since the culprit was able to do that, they can't be just one of them. When it comes to Maria-chan, Rosa was like a quick-to-anger mama bear. She wouldn't cower in fear even if someone pointed a gun at her. I see, so it's had to become someone who wouldn't rouse Rosa's suspicion until the last second. Now we see that the idea of an outsider sneaking into the island is actually the less realistic option.
Et toi, t'es quoi, ma grande?
The culprit is someone familiar with this island. And there's more than one. The culprit is someone familiar, and there's more than one. Erika's reasoning pointed clearly at the ones they should suspect and guard themselves against. So you suspect the servants? Yes. Under the current circumstances, they are the most suspicious. The second reason to suspect them is the closed room with the chain locks. Or did the chain locks make them suspicious? What if there was no chain lock on the closed rooms? Then they wouldn't be closed rooms. With a single master key, anyone could make him. I see. Servants had to seal them with the chain so that they wouldn't be suspected. Exactly. By setting the chain, they don't have to worry about being suspected. To turn it around, if the chains weren't set, they wouldn't be able to avoid suspicion, since they hold the master keys. So the only ones with something to gain from setting the chain are the servants.
Mais le pire, c'est qu'elle réfléchit bien, quoi.
I'm not trying to protect them or anything, but if so, how did they actually set the chains? Is it possible to set them from outside? Considering all that built, I don't think it'd be impossible. Have you heard this story? Apparently some mailmen who deliver to apartment mailboxes are known to carry loops of wire with them. Yes, I've heard of that. Apartment mailboxes often have similar giant boxes around them, or the nearby room numbers. I heard that sometimes accidentally deliver letters to the next room over if they weren't careful. These mailboxes are almost always locked. If you put the mail into the wrong one, you'll have no way to getting it out. In that situation, they're supposed to tell the owner of that mailbox about their mistake. Have that person unlock the mailbox for them and retrieve the improperly delivered mail. However, the resident of that apartment will often be out, and going through that process will be a real pain. Because of that, some mailmen will make a little too length of wire with a loop at the end, and use that to fish the mistakenly placed postcard out through the crack of the mailbox. I've heard something similar from a friend of mine at the building management company. It seems that sometimes the drunk will lock themselves in the bathroom and fall asleep. To get them out of there, they stick a thin metal through the crack in the door and undo the latch. Exactly. All industries have little tools that can easily open things that normally can be opened. It would be particularly surprising if the servants of a mansion has something of the sort. Good point. Once you figure out the knack of it, you probably could set the chain from the outside by using a wire. Yeah, we can't be sure that it's impossible. True, physically speaking. One couldn't say for sure that there existed absolutely no way to set and unset chain locks from the outside. Chain locks allow for the door to be opened the crack. If you stuck something through that crack, you should be able to manage it easily. It was very natural for them to think that. However, Erica knew better. Though it might be possible in reality, the rectors had already declared that this closed room could not have been constructed from the outside. In other words, it was impossible to manipulate the chain lock from the outside. And yet, Erica was guiding their thought with the illusion that only the servants could have constructed the closed rooms. With an air of solemnly revealing some crucial points, she steadily steered the situation in the direction she wanted. Every part of her seren's face for the last few minutes had been an act. Not to put in her words, it was a detective technique for tricking suspects. I plan to tell Cross Sam what I've told you. I'm not saying that all the servants are culprits. However, it's very likely that one of them is a culprit or has been assisting the culprit. We should split them apart and have people always keep an eye on them. Rudolph and Hideyoshi looked at each other again. What she was saying made sense, and it sounded as though she was calmly smoking out the most suspicious people at this point in time. With her accomplished conversation techniques, Eva was cleverly grasping the initiative. Even without the detective's authority, it's possible to control human nature to this degree. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Hehehehe. So, how it is playing on the witch's side? It feels strange. I used to think that the witch's side had such a huge advantage, but now that I'm on that side, I see that it's ridiculous. It's almost like the game where you stick the knife in the barrel and try not to stab the mustache guy inside. Oh, comment ça s'appelle? Pic Pirate! Pic Pirate Mentioned. Alors ça c'est fou par contre. Et que moi qu'aurais la ref, mais... C'est tellement vieux, frère. Oh, tu l'as. Ouais, mais t'es vieux aussi, c'est le problème, en fait. Le problème, c'est que je parle à un vieux croulant aussi, quoi. T'inquiète pas, le faux, en octobre, tu pourras me retraiter de vieillard. Parce que j'aurai de nouveau un an de plus que toi. Et là, je pourrais plus faire le mariole. Voilà. Mais jusqu'à octobre... Comment ça, j'ai déjà un an de plus? T'as pas mon âge quand t'as ton anniversaire pendant quelques mois dans l'année, genre? Attends, t'as un 95? Putain, je pensais qu'on avait juste quelques mois d'écart, genre. J'ai dû oublier. Bah, my bad, tu peux me traiter de vieillard H24, du coup. Pas de problème. From the perspective of the human side, it feels like trying to shoot a target hidden by mist. But from the witch's viewpoint, a stray shot might hit and become fatal. They told me play a game like that all the time. Yeah, it's almost like Russian roulette. Even so, you believe that I'd eventually notice and stretch those games out to the limit. Pour être sûr d'être tranquille. Maybe impudent of me to ask, but just what is that you noticed, Butler-san? At the very end of your game with the old me? It's a strange question, even though in the past Beato had always been the one posing it to Butler. Not Butler had figured it out, Beato was the one asking it to him. Our roles have been completely flipped, haven't they? In the past only you remembered, and only I forgot. But this time it's the other way around. Only I remember and only you have forgotten. Je redis que c'est possible qu'en fait, le plateau dure depuis bien plus longtemps qu'on ne le pense. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas eu 1000 ans de boucles sans miracle qui ont mené à ça? Ce serait dingue. Est-ce que Butler est toujours à la recherche de son miracle? C'est ça la grande question. Would you mind telling me what it is? Telling you will be easy, but I don't want to tell you. I'm not trying to be mean. I just want to believe in a miracle. Faut me faire écrire le jeu en fait, mais je suis fait pour écrire des visual novels en fait. C'est dingue. Il m'a répondu une phrase après. Donc il croit encore à son miracle. Donc il y a peut-être vraiment, on sait pas, il y a 100 000 ans de boucle. Et on est juste pas au courant quoi. I just want to believe in a miracle for a bit myself. A miracle. Yes, this was a single miracle to see that Butler had left behind. You better could remember such and something without being told. Comme le signe de Butler du coup. It would prove that Beato had truly revived. So he wouldn't tell her. It was Butler's final seed, which existed because he still couldn't abandon his hopes for Beato's revival. C'est comme le péché de Butler, mais à l'envers, avec Béatrice du coup. And tell me then, I won't ask. If I have displeased you, please forgive me. Don't worry about it. Il est quand même beaucoup plus sympa que tout à l'heure, enfin que la dernière fois. Enfin qu'au début du chapitre quoi. Et il était vraiment infect hein. I just never know where to give up. As she watched that sad smile, Beato's chest tightened. He was looking at her and seeing the older. Yeah, I must become my former self for his sake. My older sister who gets burned by spiderwebs and I who don't must become one. Surely it's more useful to him if I go on a journey to find myself now, than if I simply watch over his game. How do you feel about this game? Do you think you can win? I intend to win. I'll win, and... Gojo. Insérer Gojo Panel. Ben on l'a déjà le Hidewind de Battler en plus. Qui avait été fait par Kara je crois d'ailleurs. I win and end this eternal torture just like Beato wanted. When it ends, what will happen to the world? Who knows? I wonder. However, that's what we wished for, so no matter what the result is, I'll accept it. What will happen to me? Beto was uncertain. Even she was probably no more than a piece in this game. If the game ended, then would she, one who had been born out of that game rules, disappear? The game would probably disappear, but no, I completely understand magic, so I'll be able to carry out of the game board. Yeah, I think that was your wish. My wish? The rest is a secret. I'll be waiting for a miracle. For you to remember all of that on your own. After smiling Butterfly for just a second, Butler laughed and told her not to worry. Apparently it was best if she avoided talking to Butler about her previous self. Well then I go check on my opponent for a bit. I can't wait to see what kind of twisted logic that idiot thinks I'm next. The old Butler-san did a lot of that too. My favorite was the one from the first Twilight of the second game, when you said the culprit killed everyone by feeding them small bombs. On en revient toujours aux small bombs, hein. Ah, the highlight of my dark past. Please forget it ever happened, as fast as you can. Yes, I will try. Butler became a cloud of gold butterflies and disappeared into the darkness. Quand vraiment il va y avoir les small bombs, hein. Juste parce que c'est la game de Butler et qu'il a voulu se faire plaisir. Beto kept bowing until he disappeared completely. To fill in its place, a single gold butterfly appeared and became Beato the Elder. Did you call for me, little sister? Yes, I want to know more about you. And I want to know what the real me is like. I want to become like that. Of course, I also want to know about my future self. Didn't we reveal everything about ourselves to each other for that purpose? However, we did not become one. I cannot understand what we must do to become our single self. What can we do to become one? I have high hopes for the trial of Zephyr and Furfur. You mean the miracle of magic given to the victors? I wonder if that magical miracle means becoming one. I will find my true form. He will fulfill Battle's wishes. Battle will be overjoyed too, so all three of us will have what we want. This is a trial, right? It means we cannot lose to the other two pairs. George-san and Shannon-san, Jessica-san and Cannon-san. I can only grasp happiness by trampling over them. The condition applied to all of us. If one of the others succeeds in love, the other two groups, including you, will be trampled over. Why must the scales be so tilted, I wonder? Tilted? Some people will find love, others won't. In that case, you can put two groups on a scale. However, the scales for our trial have 3 plates and 2 must lose for 1 to win. That seems horribly skewed. Who knows? It might mean that successful love is worth 2 destroyed loves. You're too insecure, little sister. You can put your desire to answer to Battle's expectation before your uncertainty over what happens to the losers. You won't be able to win anything. You're right. I won't give up our victory. I don't like doing this to the other, but there will be no hard feelings between us and them. If I do lose, I'll give my strongest blessings to whichever of the lovers win. So I'll fight with all my heart and soul, so that I have no lingering regrets. And I'll win that miracle of magic. Ce miracle, il existe dans la pièce avec nous? How was it? Or did the red and blue shoot out over the first twilight go? We started by testing the waters. Atlas seemed pretty eager to. She had just come back from a fierce fight with Butler, when she had gathered information by making demand for the red text. It was the old familiar kind of fight, reminiscent of when the red text had first appeared, or when use of the blue text was first permitted. And the results? First, in all cases, it was the victims themselves that constricted the closed rooms. Although those closed rooms were perfectly preserved until Cross's group broke them open. Also, I confirmed that during this period, all sorts of interference from the outside were impossible. Erika reported this proudly as though it has been a great battle, but Berncastle looked bored as she listened. After looking at her blankly for a second, Lambda Delta spoke her opinion frankly. Wait a sec, doesn't that mean this closed room murder was perfect? The victim had sealed the closed room themselves, and the closed room had been preserved until Cross and the other broke them open, and no one had been inside the closed room except for the victims. And Cross's group, the ones who had broken the room open, were not the culprits. In this way she had managed to win several little red truths like these. Normally simply collecting such vital information would have been enough. However, the Master Witch, tired with boredom, had expected much more flashy argument-winning victory instead of that bland result. However, this time I don't have the detective's authority, so there's a chance I messed up when examining the corpses. So if we suppose that drug that mimics death was used to fool my examination, you mean Picopuyo? No, not that. It's impossible for certain well-known drugs such as insulin to bring about a temporary state that mimics death. Je l'ai. Battle did not counter that with the red truth. In other words, my Bluetooth worked. I think we started with a victory. To sum up Erika's report, all she had done was listen to the red truths Battle had wanted her to hear. Only the information Battle had wanted out had been shown, and she hadn't been able to strike at any weak points. She was like a kid who had gone out shopping and forgotten her job and only bought candy. However, this was all the players on the human side could do. Without the detective proclamation, she could only fight by collecting dull bits of information like that. However, our master had been expecting more than that sort of dull fight. So she had tried to give her report energetically, to make it seem as though they were in a superior position, but no matter how much she tried, the cold expression of her master remained merciless. Your Bluetooth worked. If you didn't get it down, it's probably just because it was too stupid. You call yourself a great detective with reasoning like that? I did try to examine the corpses with care, to the best of my abilities. However, I don't have the detective's authority, so we can be certain. Wait a sec, weren't you the one who decided not to make detective proclamation? Didn't you say you wanted to raise the stakes to make up for your disgrace last time? Well, what's wrong? Are you saying you can't win against Battler without the detective's authority? It's not true, my master. I could easily defeat an incompetent like that, even without the detective authority. It's just the style of fighting is a little different from what I'm used to and I haven't gotten the hang of it yet. Les excuses, hein. As far as humans go, Erika was quite talented. Her knowledge and power of memory and insight were ahead of the packs, and it was likely that no human was more well suited as a detective than her. However, no matter how much of an advantage she might have had over the other people, that didn't matter in the Witch's game. In the Witch's game, it says 0 on 100. In other words, everything is either the red truth or it isn't. If a normal human was worth a 10, her exceptional power would probably rate a 99. However, it could never be 100. Since he wasn't 100, he couldn't be absolutely certain, so he didn't count as a red truth. For example, the examination of the corpses that Erika had worried over in the fight just now. If she had performed it with the detective authority, she could have said with 100% certainty whether they were alive or dead. However, without the detective proclamation, it was 99. There was a 1% chance that she'd made a mistake and thus overturned the foundation of the examination. Erika had gained the detective authority and had become the Witch of Truth because Berncastle had supplemented her talent of 99 with an additional 1. Simply because Berncastle wouldn't give her that 1. In the words of witches, Erika's 99 was treated exactly the same as 0. She couldn't even use her great assistant Lana with the power of 100. When working under Erika would have lost the detective authority, Lana's red longsword lost its power. Lana was also irritated that she couldn't provide full assistance. She had tried several times to convince Erika to use the detective's proclamation, but Erika stubbornly refused each time. Why not just do it? Make that detective proclamation. If you do, you'll be unstoppable. Lana could even use her red longsword and the Nox Decalogue. Why not do it if you want? No. There was no need for anyone to explain. By now it was clear that Erika hadn't abandoned the detective proclamation by her own will. When Battler reached the truth during the previous round, this game was already finished. This isn't really the 6th game, it's just a finale, so that Battler can have a chance to serve as a game master at the end. The result was already decided last game. Yeah, pretty much. The game won't continue forever and I've lost my bet with Burn. In this game, Battler will prove that he's reached the game's truth, and then Battle's game will be destroying a big victory for the human side, and a big victory for Burn too. Well, supposedly, but you look unsatisfied for some reason. Yeah, I'm not satisfied, I didn't want such a boring victory. The victory I want had Beata's game board being torn to bits, and Battle's true pathetic form exposed, humiliated and trampled on. But this victory of Battler isn't quite like that, is it? All this about love and promises. Also on love and promises, he wants to end the game quietly and let her sleep in peace. That sort of ending won't make anyone vomit. I didn't give Battler all that advice so that he could end things like that. I had his little sister turn to scrap meat behind his back. I had his parents and family killed horribly over and over again. That was all to spark a desire for revenge against Bato. And now what kind of ending is this? Have I won? Of course not. Battler's got his hand on a victory that neither you or nor can stand. I had to withstand this tiring period of boredom just to come all the way out to this backwoods territory, just so that I could see Beatrice lamely and pathetically torn to little bits. I didn't come here to sip from a rotten yogurt fragment like this. Oh, your angry face is wonderful too, Burn. I see, so this is why you wanted to straighten things out for yourself at least one in the end. It's all the fault of this morning piece screwing up all the time in the last game. Because of you, this game board that looked like it'd be planned for the first time in thousands of years has been wasted. Chaos, trash, scam! Wow, 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 wow. Burn. Apologies, my master. Je n'aurais pas de la peine pour toi, Erika, cela dit. Je n'aurai pas de la peine pour toi. Hein. Tu es une merde humaine. Je n'aurai pas de peine pour toi. Sache-le. I will definitely bring you a victory, so please forgive me. If you couldn't win with the Deductive Authority in the last game, how do you expect to defeat Battler now that he's the game master? You don't have a chance at winning even with the Deductive Authority. So why bother with it? Sure, if you can't win anyway, then the Deductive Proclamation isn't necessary. The luck will just make your loss all the more certain. And therefore, if you manage to win in this even worse situation, it will be a miracle worthy of me. Only if you can do that, I'll be able to forgive you. Yes, I will surely show you that miracle. Like, hell you can't, Cam. Burn, elle est complètement... Et pourtant, elle va très certainement le faire. C'est ça le pire. Vu le début du chapitre... All you can do is tirelessly expose your wretched self in a horrible punishment game with your only weapon taken away from you. And through it all, you'll still roll over playfully and beg to keep me entertained, scum. Sounds like you're having fun. Am I getting in the way? God Butterfly gathered in the darkness and took the shape of Battler. Though he had just arrived, he seemed to know that the mood was dark. I'm Battler. I had a look at your first twilight. Quite impressive closed rooms. I'm sure you're even more talented than Beato. It's just a rehash of the closed room Beato made in the past. I'll take that as a compliment, eh, matter? It seems your fight with Erika wasn't bad either. Think your serial murders will move along smoothly? Who knows? My role isn't to carry out serial murders. It's to use that process to show you closed rooms that are impossible without magic, and thereby achieve victory for the witch side and prove that I've fully understood this game. No, there's one more thing. What? Settle things with Erika after that evenly matched your duel we acted out last time. Battler. Evenly matched? Castle noticeably grimaced. Erika averted her eyes and hung her head timidly. I know what you'd like to say. It wasn't a draw. We should have won easily, so it counts as a loss. Hey, it's not polite to eavesdrop. Look at a mirror. It's written all over your faces. No way. Where? Hey, what's going on? If you tell me it's written in ink only morons can see, then that's super that's for you. And Delta pulled the mirror out of thin air, then looked at it and jumped around angrily. She was apparently pretending to be stupid in her own special way. Erika? What is this? That final first attack you and Lana made in the last game was spectacular. Thanks. What happened to Lana this time? Are you by yourself? No, I have been waiting here. Lana had been just standing around in reserve, hiding her presence in the dark shadows. Well, when she can't use her red longsword, Lana is just useless scum. There's no point having her around, so she's hanging back. All I can do now is record Lady Erika's reasoning. Why won't you fight with her? Why can't you use that red longsword? Erika's reasoning and your longsword, those were strong because they worked together. Lana didn't answer. She just glanced at Berkhamster's expression for an instant. However, that glance was the same as a clear answer to Battle now. Battle fully recognized the situation. You're the one who told Erika not to use the Deductive Proclamation. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. This fight between me and Erika, we're gonna fight with all we got. That way we'll be able to accept it whether we win or lose. There's no need for a mastermind behind the scenes like you. Come on, I'm no mastermind. I'm just a theater goer trying to relieve her boredom. A theater goer is someone who sits quietly in the stands and watches. That's not what we call someone who jeers at the stage and threatens or manipulates the performers. Oh, Battler, 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 Battler! Pardon, Battler. Sorry for being an ill-mannered audience. You might not know it, but I've already paid a huge admission fee to watch this play. Sorry, but I intend to enjoy it until I get my money's worth. If you get in the way of the game's progression, I can use my authority as a game master to boot you out of this game. If you want to, go ahead. If you chase me out, then I'll head back with my piece Erika.
The game will be cancelled and you won't be able to prove that you've reached the truth. A theater goer is an observer. A truth is an observer is the same as an illusion. In a theater goer as a witness until Beato's game's end. Our truth only need to pass between the two of us. If you get in the way any further, I'll put you out by force. Then you can writhe around in boredom for a few centuries until you find another way to kill time. Then go ahead and do that! Erika, this game is over. Good work. You were completely useless. You weren't able to overturn the dishonor of your loss, so as promised I throw you into the worst fragment. I toss you into the depths of oblivion with the empty popcorn bucket. Master, I will win. I win no matter what. So please let me fight Butler until the end. I don't want to lose and get thrown in the depths of oblivion. You know I want to watch until the end, right? But Butler says toss me out. Hey, what you do, Lambda? Well, I realize you've been irritated since the last game, Burn, but calm down a bit. And Butler, don't provoke Burn so much. This kid can control her emotions sometimes. Shut up. Who can control her emotions? Burn Castle, who had never shown any expression until one point in time, was now twisting her face into all kinds of displeased and ugly shapes. When Lambda Delta made fun of that, Burn Castle clicked her tongue and looked away. As they say, nothing can stop poison but poison. Apparently Lambda Delta was the only one who could rein Burn Nostel in. Erika, you want to fight Butler, kill your name and get burned back into a good mood, right? Yes. Butler, you want to quickly and neatly end this final game, so that you can prove that you found the truth, right? Yeah, this is a face-off between me and Erika. I won't let anyone get in my way, but I won't let anyone get in Erika's way either. Butler. If both of them wish to fight, then that should be respected. Leave Burn to me. I'm the only one in the world who can calm this kid when she gets in a bad mood. You're the same sort as Herbert. At least you can be reasoned with. You shouldn't underestimate me. I just like seeing Burn grimace. That's why I've taken a liking to this game of yours. If you think I'm easy to handle, you're apt to get burned, okay? Daniel can't use a red longsword because the detective proclamation hasn't been made. Eureka makes it, she regain her power right away, right? Yes. When that happened, forgive me. Eureka. What? Made the detective proclamation? No. Do you really think you can beat me as I am now without the detective authority? I can win. Lord Butler, Lady Eureka is herself a piece. She cannot disobey her master's order. All she can do is gather the power she had and fight for survival. And none of your power can be used at all without the detective proclamation. I need permission before unsheathing the red key. One form of that permission is detective proclamation. Are there any other ways of getting that permission? What are you saying? If you're doing this out of pity for me, that's none of your business. Quiet. You're so flimsy by yourself that it's boring. Be quiet, detective, who isn't a detective. Mais Rika, elle s'en prend dans tous les sens, hein. C'est très grave, hein. Yeah. The red key is infinitely similar to the red truth. If I'm given a truth, I'm permitted to draw my sword for items that pertain to it. What do you mean by a truth? For example, there are Lady Eureka's packing tape seals. Ah, those. Lady Burncastle has already acknowledged that those seals are equivalent in value to the red truth. Therefore, I am permitted to draw the red key, at least for truth pertaining to those seals. That was caused me a lot of trouble last time, so I had all the sticky packing tape removed from the game board this time around. A splendid move. Erika was proud to be able to carry herself the detective, wasn't she? Yes, though her only goal was to irresponsibly solve riddles. It was a matter of pride for her. And she must really be suffering now that she can't make the proclamation. Only she could tell you that. Malta took a deep breath, then hung his head in thought for a time. Erika was his enemy, but she was the player on the human side, and without her, there would be no game. It had been the same with the old Beato. Malta had one-sidedly viewed Beato as an enemy. However, though Beato had thought of him as her opponent, she hadn't considered him as an enemy or a personal level. In accordance with the rules, I must fight my rival ruthlessly. However, that doesn't mean I need to hate Erika herself. I won't misunderstand Beato's game. Erika, you're free to choose not to make a detective proclamation. In that case, go and fight just with your power as a human. I've been prepared to do that from the start. However, you have talented allies. Lanor, Gertrude, and Cornelia.
You aren't alone. You have allies. Yeah, but they are unreliable, powerless, and useless scam. Lana, just like I was supported by Vijaya and Renov in the past, Erika needs support as well. I know from repeated experience that playing for the human side is tough. Yes, I will assist her with all the power I possess. Understood. No, that's your job. And you can't even use the red truth. Erika, I will give power not to you but to your allies. Huh? What do you think you're doing? I just died and receive a pity. C'est vraiment ce qu'il fait pourtant. Je pense que, en fait, s'il fait ça, c'est qu'il a besoin de la détective authority de Erika pour achieve son miracle. Sinon, il s'en foutrait, il tirerait plus, il s'en battrait les couilles, quoi. Là, je mets le crub à côté, du coup. Hop là. Pardon, je mettais Cubeb à côté. Erika, I like to use 3 rooms worth of those packing tape seals. To fully seal one room, multiple seals would be needed to cover all the doors and windows. If you had said 3 seals, it would only have been possible to fully seal one room at best. The butler was generous and limited them by room instead of by seal. Lord Butler. As a game master, I also acknowledge that the seals have the same effect as the red truth. This way you'll also be able to wield that red longsword in a fight surrounding those. Right? Yes. But are you certain? Winning against Erika when she's less than a detective is only a victory. Erika's upping the stakes and I should have the right to do the same. Oh, what a man. Aren't you lucky, Erika? Now you can use a bit of red without making the detective proclamation and irritating your master. You regret this. I'll use the 3 seals and kill you no matter what. Perfect. Come to kill me. Yeah. So it was only for 3 rooms. It was a red truth that Erika desperately wanted. No, she finally had enough leeway to fight as she pleased. She ground the cheese at being pitied by Butler, but her cheese was not those of shame. I understood. 3 rooms worth of packing tape seals accepted. Regarding this matter, should we consider them as being accepted retroactively back when Lady Erika received the non-sticky packing tape from Mrs. Kumasawa? Erika has borrowed packing tape from Kumasawa to make seals with. However, Butler had made it so that those weren't sticky. If you ruled that there had never been any problems with the stickiness of the packing tape, the transition could be made smoothly. Sure, that's fine. I rewrite the sale. The packing tape that Erika received from Kumasawa on late at night on the first day was sticky, but there was only enough left to use on 3 rooms. I'll update that from here on out. Understood. Lady Erika will also retroactively adjust her movements, starting before the discovery of the first twilight, and taking into account that the application of this privilege is not possible. As soon as the changes affect the progression of the game, they will be reported to the game master. Letting you do it retroactively, even so you know which room is the crime will occur in. That gives you a pretty big advantage. You won't have to waste tape on the rooms. It's simply grown quite arrogant since becoming Game Master.
Je pense que ça va le perdre, hein. Mais je pense qu'il en a besoin aussi. En fait, il s'en battrait les couilles s'il n'en avait pas besoin, quoi. Il la laisserait dans sa merde.
You don't find to give a charity to your pathetic opponent. Quiet, and don't misunderstand. I'm not being arrogant or soft here. Erika, use this weapon and come at me with all you got. Then I'll crush you with all I've got. So hold your head up, hide and use those three. That is all. Lalo made to leave the room with a flick of his cape. As he did this, so he heard Erika let out a strained voice calling him to a stop. What is it? If you have no business with me, I'm going. Make sure you talk with Lano. Don't listen to those obnoxious witches, whatever they tell you. As long as I'm on this game board, I won't let them do whatever they please. Thank you. Thank you. I'll fight with all I've got. I come at you with all my strength, so I'll defeat you no matter what. So if you do win against me, please crush me with all your strengths. Please don't leave a scrap behind. Understood? And don't you go easy on me. This is the final game. I'm playing to prove to Beata that I've reached the truth. But I know who wins and who loses doesn't affect that goal. So I just want to accept you as a rival and settle this. In the game, let's suspect each other over everything as enemies. But as fellow players, let's stretch each other. That's how this game is supposed to be played. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Je ne vais pas avoir de peine pour toi, Erika. Même pas un peu, genre. Vu ce que tu as fait dans la game d'avant, certainement pas, genre. Même si tu... Ouais, même si tu mérites pas forcément tout ça. Mais quand même, non.
Butler melted into the darkness, became a cloud of gold butterflies and vanished. Erika remained behind, sobbing. Just... kidding.
Et voilà pourquoi il faut pas avoir de la peine. Voilà pourquoi il faut pas avoir de la peine, en fait. Voilà pourquoi, putain de merde. Voilà pourquoi il faut jamais avoir de peine pour ces merdes. Mais non, pas Pranked. J'ai même pas été sentimental aide. Y'a pas de prank là, c'est juste des putes, genre, que je déteste.
Jeez, you're damn stupid, man. Totally fell for it and gave me the tape. I threw to Erika. Of backing tape. It was hard to imagine that the person who had been sobbing pathetically and the person nowhere the same.
C'est pas tes femmes, le faux. Écoute-moi bien, mec. Mec. Tu n'es pas un malade mental, je le sais. Tu ne peux pas dire que ces merdes sont tes femmes. Des merdes.
It was hard to imagine that the person who had been sobbing pathetically and the person nowhere the same. That's how vile her face contorted to be.
Gros, c'est...
The two witches... Attends, ça veut dire qu'elle pouvait pas avoir accès à la proclamation si Battler l'autorisait pas, ça se trouve en fait. C'est juste pour ça en fait. The two witches were so cackling with ugly smiles. I totally understand. When you become Game Master, it feels like you become God and you get all sure of yourself. It was the same for Yolanda. Of course you'd lose after leaving a stupid mistake like walking corpse alone. Stupid Game Master, stupid mistakes, stupid prize, stupid losses, stupid battler, stupid everything. Stupid losses, stupid battler, stupid everything. Has a nice ring to it. Nice one, my master. Stupid battler, stupid everything, stupid
Genre, en fait, J'aurais pu même avoir un minimum d'empathie, même si je la déteste. Mais là, c'est encore pire qu'au chapitre 5, genre. Tout s'accumule et j'ai envie qu'elle se fasse écraser par un rouleau compresseur, genre.
That stupid butler already thinks Eric has a disadvantage and I really pity him. The data proclamation isn't what you need to kill a moron. Just by falling on a piece of tofu? He does have to be soft tofu too. Had some gochujang, chili paste, and you got a snack that'd go great with some wine. The three giggled together. It had all been an act to get the packing tape for the sales from Butler. Even though the packing tape that had tormented him so much in the last game was unusable this one. He had fallen for Erika's act, and she had gotten what she wanted, so just 3 rooms worse. The illusion that Erika had an overwhelming disadvantage was just an act. A trap to trick Butler and make him hand over the packing tape. But yes, I can kill Butler perfectly. I figured out those pathetic closed room long ago. A perfect closed room? Damn bass. I'll show you a real perfect closed room. And I could almost cry for joy at the fact that you gave me those weapons that finish you. My master, Lady Lambda Delta. Thank you so much for going along with this act. It was fun. No need to thank me. Plus, it wasn't an act. Lord Gastel said something that was probably disturbing, but in a good mood, Erika didn't care a bit. That pudding for brains moron thinking he'd done something so noble. I'll make you regret it. Alright, let's use this seal at a leisure. You did great too, Lanor. It seems that Butler trusts you, so he believed every word you said. Don't tell me your conscience is lurching. You looked at Murder Doll. No. Lana looked at Erika in a slightly lonely way. Then after shaking her head slightly, her gaze turned hard and she looked at the darkness Butler had disappeared into. He should have known that this was no old bar fight. Oh, foolish Lord Butler. This is without a doubt the result of your pride.
Je viens de me rendre compte que de Lanor, en fait, en la doublant comme un robot, plus je la double comme Jet dans Sunshine, genre.
Here is Mario.
C'est Jet.
Mr. Butler, this will be fatal.
C'est vraiment Jet. Est-ce qu'on peut dire que Erika sans de Lanor, c'est un peu comme Mario sans Jet dans Sunshine, quoi? Un petit peu, quoi.
So far so good, Furfur. Yeah, all of the lovers clearly possess a strong will. This is a victory for love, that we shall extol. Everyone had gotten used to these 2 overdramatic demons.
Je m'arrête bientôt, je pense, bah, sûrement à la fin de cette belle discussion, ma foi. Entre Furfur et son ami qui n'est pas du même genre.
Everyone had gotten used to these 2 overdramatic demons. George spoke quietly with an annoyed expression.
Demain, je ferai 2 sessions. Je ferai une session d'après-midi et une session de soir, et je pense que ce sera suffisant pour finir le shop. Je pense. Je ferai 2-3 heures l'après-midi et 3-4 heures le soir. Je pense que ça suffira. Sinon, je ferai une extension du territoire un petit peu, c'est pas très grave.
We'll only extol that after we passed out your trial and someone has been given the miracle of magic. I agree. We've all passed the first trial. What's next? I won't hold back anymore. I do whatever it takes. Yes, we won't lose. We won't lose either. Yeah. And of course the same goes for Battlescoon's group. Of course. I doubt anyone here is so naive that they hope to win by having the other forfeit. Right. Anyone weak enough to drop out will have no right to be here right now. Even Beato.
Moi, en fait, je vais vous le dire, comme je le pense. Cette Beato-là, même si elle ressemble en rien à la Beato qu'on connaît, elle est mignonne. Et je suis amoureux. Voilà. Même si c'est triste.
Even Beato, who seemed to be the shakiest one of the 6, was strongly determined. The 2 demons nodded at each other, taking note of the 6's continued resolve.
Épisode 3 Bilag. Mais on va pas se reprendre le même prank, hein? Hein? 2 fois la même chose? Non. Non. Arrête. Non mais ça marchera pas 2 fois. 2 fois, ce sera... En fait, même si ça me surprend et que ça me m'éteint, ce sera juste nul, genre. Une fois, c'est exceptionnel. 2 fois, ça rend le tout très gaze, genre. Donc j'y crois pas une seconde. two demons nodded at each other, taking note of the six continued resolve. En plus, c'est setup quand même sur un très long terme, jusqu'à l'épisode 6, que Beato soit comme ça. C'est pas pour l'enlever en c'était encore une blague. So what's the next trial? Don't tell me you still haven't decided. Well, we saw at least some of you will drop out. We didn't think you'd all remain. What a happy miraculous miscalculation due to love. Shut up. So, are we going to play musical chairs or something to make sure someone drop out? Yes, precisely that. We decided to have this trial eliminate one group no matter what. This trial is the second trial of the epitaph. Tear apart the two who are close. I don't get it. Separ-sama, Furfur-sama, what sort of trial is this? Do you mean we're going to kill each other? That settles things quickly. So he's not exactly civilized. En mode, c'est civilisé ce que t'as. Cette expression de George de merde là, et maintenant que je sais que c'est un putain de pédophile nul à chier, qui est capable de tuer sa mère pour une meuf qui avait 10 ans quand il est tombé amoureux d'elle et qu'il en avait 17, cette expression là, elle me dégoûte, genre. Tu regardes quoi comme ça là? Tu crois faire quoi, genre? Connard, va. Qu'est-ce que tu crois faire en fait? Oh, it's for carnivores. I guess we can't all just find happiness together, can we? It is what they call a zero-sum game. It's an economic word, but maybe you've heard of it. No, my apologies. Zero-sum game is where victory and losses are cancelled to end up with zero. In order for someone to win, someone else must be forced to lose. It's a ruthless way of this world. If only everyone could be happy. But there's no way an idle world like that could exist. No, there is. That is the Golden Land. Golden Land? What are you talking about? That's right. If you reach the Golden Land, all love will be satisfied. However, like heaven and hell, that's not a place in this world. Wouldn't want that. Love has meaning because we find it in this world. I could never support a sad lover's double suicide where they only renegade love till death. I stick to my love in life. I won't lose to anyone. George-san. The door into the Golden Land can be opened by solving the epitaph's riddle. In that place, love and lives. Love live ou quoi? A whole and can be revived, but... We're straying from the point. Let's hear about the second trial now. Right? What are you trying to make us do with this tear about the two who are close thing? It's quite simple. The only possible way to cheer about the two lovers is by the sad farewell of death. The second trial involves killing one of the six. Of course, any lover who is a partner killed is disqualified. In short, one group of lovers must fail during this trial. You say kill so easily. What exactly are we supposed to do? You can just fight to the death, or you can decide by a lottery of some sort. Like hell, we choose by drawing lots. Let's have a fair and square duel. So if we do that, I imagine that Batlock won the Game Master, and Beatrice, who is the Golden Witch, even though her memory is gone, will have a substantial advantage. Pussy, George! Pédophile et pussy en plus! Well, I wonder about that. Don't worry, for this trial we have made everyone's power equal. Even the Game Master, Lord Battler, is taking this trial on an even footing with everyone else. In that case, it's fair. It is completely and purely on an even footing. Yes, it's perfectly even. In a one-on-one matchup, victory will be decided by luck. It's perfectly even. So it probably takes some time before it's settled. So it's a trick to attack when you're in a superior position, I wonder. Duels that take time are of course wonderful. Why would anyone leave it up to luck? Of course we want to fight in the situation to our advantage. In that case, a three-way struggle? Won't that mean we're stuck? Metal was the first to notice. If the six were truly on an even footing and both willing and capable of winning, one pair would have to concentrate their attacks on a single person. If it happened, then the pair containing the target would of course band together and resist. In other words, it would never be 2 against 1. It would become 2 against 2 in a matter of luck. However, at that time, any third pair who happened to be watching this could team up with whichever pair they liked with no risk to themselves,
defeating the opposing pair with certainty. Sounds troublesome. It means that moving first is advantageous. If you step forward and fight, it's a matter of luck. Sit and wait for the others to start fighting, it's certain victory. The fight will never begin in this situation. Maybe we could just have everyone fight the person next to them one-on-one. Then as soon as one fight is settled, the affair will be over. Unless everyone could abandon any naive hopes for 2-on-1 fight, this war will never begin and never end. In that case, if they made a gentleman's agreement and had everyone duel at once, it would be no different for drawing lots, but it will at least be even. That won't work. If we do that, everyone will just defend instead of fighting proactively. All they need to do is wait for someone to lose before they do. Your point of view was a sound one. If both fighters just glare at each other without attacking, then neither will lose. All they had to do was wait for someone other than themselves to fight. This brought them back to the starting point. No one will fight proactively. In the end, no one will move and nothing will be resolved. Since there is a arithmetical situation where we all have the same strength, it's almost like a puzzle. True, it would have been interesting duel if your strengths were unknown. However, since we've been told that we're perfectly even, this duel is no different than rock, paper, scissors. In that case, why not use rock, paper, scissors to decide it? Crazy, I'm not gonna do that. Even if someone do lose, then we accept their love, bah oui. En pierre, feuille, ciseaux. J'aurais pu deviner que c'était la suite du trial, ça, vu que bah c'est logique en fait. C'est purement logique. They don't accept it, they will be attacked by the 4 winners. In the war we're all equal, and also we have no chance of surviving. True, well no. Is rock paper scissors actually the most reasonable way to settle this? It's extremely reasonable. However, if you ask me whether I'd be reckless enough to entrust my fate to a random number generator, the answer is no. Please do consider that problem. This is the second trial we have for you. Think and fight to the death. Let's decide whom the sacrifice will be. Parfait pour m'arrêter. Littéralement parfait pour m'arrêter. Eh bien écoutez, je pense qu'on est pas mal. Hop là. Je finirai le chapitre demain, du coup j'ai fait une session d'après-midi. Une session de soirée un peu nocturne. Bisous YouTube. À demain pour la fin du chapitre. 2 sessions demain. Bisous YouTube.